an acclaimed internet pioneer.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, April 27, 2014. It's time for your Gitmo Nation Media Assassination Episode 612.
This is No Agenda.
Suffering from sectoral sanctions here in FEMA Region 6 of the Travis Heights Hideout in Austin, Texas. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm probably overmodulated, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Greg Bottom Buzzkill in the morning.
No, actually, you were perfect that time.
Perfect?
Perfect, yes, perfect. Yeah, it's been one of those days.
I'm two fists away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people don't realize how that works. When you talk about your two fists away, you know, like fisting your mic or something, it's a little weird.
Yep. If they ever saw that, what was the name of that movie where the guy's teaching King Edward to speak or something?
The King's Speech.
The King's Speech.
Yeah.
And the announcer comes into the studio with that big giant ribbon mic.
Yeah.
And then he measures with his fingers. He measures a specific amount.
Yeah, the distance. Exactly. That's fisting the mic.
I always thought that was funny.
Yeah, it is. Oh, all right. Allergies still in full effect. We now have pecan to add to the mix.
Whoa.
I know. If you have pecan allergy, you might as well not live in Austin. It's
now,
like
what's this one like?
It's our state fruit. The pecan.
The state fruit. Actually, the state fruit is a guy who lives about 3 blocks.
Hey, very good. Very good. Do you know what the state insect is of Texas?
Bed bugs?
No, the monarch butterfly.
Oh, that's a beautiful bird.
It's not. It's the MK Ultra thing, is what it is. The monarch butterfly.
That's what it is.
That's really bad.
About that.
And our state rodent.
The Rattus?
No, the armadillo. Come on, you could have known that.
I knew that.
That's
one.
An easy
Curiously.
one. That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm going to tell you what the current status is of Austin allergy measurement. I have here the Austin Allergy app. And let me take a look. We have oak, all-time high.
Oak, all-time high, ladies and gentlemen.
Mold, which is the one that floors me, all-time high.
Okay.
Grass at a medium. And then pecan. I've never seen pecan on the allergy chart. And last night we went to...
it's nuts.
It really is. Last night we went to... there's this nonprofit called Women in Their Work. And, you know, if you're an artist, you have to do a lot of these things. And I'm not an artist, but Miss Mickey is. And, you know, so they auction off a piece of her art in a silent auction. And I think last year, remember last year we went to the Very Important House? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was the same event, only this year Mickey's art was in it, and it wasn't at the Very Important House. It was at a different house. But it was outside. So all night I'm like, oh, my eyes are watering up. And like I'm sneezing.
Inside.
Well, everything was open. It was kind of one of those indoor-outdoor parties.
Well, let's get back to this pecan allergy. What is that like different? I mean, how do you know it's not the mold?
Oh, no, I don't know if I have it. I'm just seeing the chart. I have no idea. I mean, I could have the grass allergy for all I know. But you wake up and your eyes are all puffy, and we got to move. We have to leave.
It must be great there when there's no pollen.
Yeah, but it's been this way for what, 6 months? How long have I been complaining about this?
I don't know. Long time.
Yes, and by the time the allergies are gone, it'll be 112 degrees, and I have something else to bitch about.
Well, where would you think of going?
Panama.
We have...
just a thought.
You haven't even visited the country.
No, we have producers there. We're working on it. We're working on a visit. It's hot, though. Everyone's talking about it. But last night at the party, a guy I know he's in a...
It is an equatorial climate down there. You'll hate it.
Really? Isn't it just consistent the whole year round? Isn't it just nice?
Yeah, hot.
Oh.
Well, let's take a look right now. Panama weather.
We were at the party, and a guy I know who works for a real estate hedge fund, he said, real estate prices going down guaranteed. He said around the country.
It's 88 degrees.
That's nice.
With a humidity of 66 is probably pretty pleasant.
Yeah, and that's what it is year-round, right?
No, it's raining tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe it's that way year-round. Whatever.
Yeah.
So the real estate prices are going down guaranteed.
Mm-hmm, that's what he says in the United States.
Were it that predictable?
I guess.
Well, good.
But he said it all kind of depends on the war.
What war?
Well, let me tell you a little story. One of our producers, Vonderhelm, he's part of one of the guys up there in Finland.
Right.
So yesterday, it used to be on the 30th of April, we had Queen's Day in Holland. I think you've been there for Queen's Day, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, we don't have... Well, we have a queen, but that's now Queen Maxima, who's married to Prince Pils, who is now the king, Willem Alexander. And for some reason, they decided instead of doing the 30th, now we have... And so we don't have Queen's Day on the 30th of April. It's King's Day on the 26th of April.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and the whole thing is, it's essentially the same idea. And around the world, embassies, of course, invite prominent people in business and whatever, in their countries to come and have some, a typical orange bitter, which is the traditional Dutch drink for the Queen's or King's Day, and have some bitterballen and Heineken, etc. And so our producer was at the Dutch embassy in Finland. And everyone's having a good time, and they're drinking the Heinies, and they're talking. And then the ambassador says, "Well, this is all great, but it looks like we may have war in Europe in the next couple of weeks."
What?
Yeah, exactly. And our guy's like, "What?" It's one thing, you're there, you're hanging out, but on King's Day to then say, "Well, yeah, we're all pretty worried. Looks like war's going to break out in the next couple of weeks." And I had already kind of thought that it was maybe possible, but I think they're really pushing for it, John. I think this is they're so out of control with the propaganda is failing essentially. It's really not working with no one's really buying into it. Of course, the citizens will believe anything.
Yeah, they're horrible.
Well, and let me give you a couple examples. Here is, and of course, CNN is the best because they essentially will take money to promote anything, including Rahm Emanuel's show. Did you hear about the emails?
Yes, it was a big scandal. We discussed it on Twitter and the blog, and we probably should have discussed it on the show. Rahm Emanuel, but apparently it was native advertising and CNN.
More than native advertising, it's the production company. The guy who runs the production company is his buddy. From high school or whatever, and they have all these emails about how great they're going to make him look, which, surprise, surprise, the reality show is not reality. But so CNN will essentially take money for anything, and I'm pretty sure that this is for Emmanuel. He's setting himself up not for 2016, but for some future stuff. And here's their propaganda on what is going on in Europe. Well, let's say Ukraine with Russia and the EU and the U.S.
Also breaking overnight, Ukraine's prime minister sounding the alarm, claiming Russia wants to start World War III, his words. Moscow is adding to the tension this morning, going ahead with military drills just outside Ukraine's border. And now President Obama says he will talk with European leaders about leveling more sanctions against Russia.
Yeah.
About leveling Russia.
If you look at it, it is so similar to the Bosnian War. It's almost uncanny. Where we had, what has to happen now is Ukraine has to break up, so we can call it some kind of civil war, but really it'll be an international war with the proxies fighting in there. And then,
we can thank ourselves for this, of course, because we're the ones who fomented this Maidan thing.
Yeah, the Euro Maidan. But it gets real. So Kerry, and I did speak to a couple of people yesterday. Now these are the elites of Austin, and I did not get very far with my hey, that Kerry guy, he's dumb. That didn't go over very well at this party. Like, what are you talking about? Well, he said, look at he's being run by the Yaleys. And, of course, it turns out that the 3 people I was talking to were all lawyers. And, of course, all lawyers, the douchebags come from Yale. That didn't work out very well. But when you listen to what he is saying, Kerry is insane. And it's one thing to take a grand overview to try and convince the world that Putin is a madman, but to get down into the minutia that he does. Well, here's a clip from his speech. This was, I believe, on Friday.
Not a single Russian official, not one, has publicly gone on television in Ukraine and called on the separatists to support the Geneva Agreement, to support the stand down, to give up their weapons and get out of the Ukrainian buildings.
Okay, so that's his setup of how Russia is not adhering to the Geneva agreements.
So in the agreement, it says that the Russians are supposed to provide free propaganda?
Well, here it comes.
They have not called on them to engage in that activity. In fact, the propaganda bullhorn.
Listen, now let's remind ourselves of that fine Dutch saying, which is, wat je zegt ben jezelf met de kop door de helft. As in, what you say about others is what you are.
By the way, I want you to say that again, because I think the audience and I would agree on this, what I'm going to say next. It sounds like a recording being played backwards.
Wat je zegt ben jezelf met je kop door de helft.
Yes, and which makes those DJs like to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, let me say that again, and they rewind themselves. With this, with the Dutch, you could just do that. It'd be great.
I'm actually speaking in tongues.
Give up their weapons and get out of the Ukrainian buildings. They have not called on them to engage in that activity. In fact, the propaganda bullhorn that is the state-sponsored Russia Today program has been deployed.
Listen, it's funny because he's looking down at his notes and he realized he said something wrong. He realized that he said the Russia Today program.
To promote, actually, Russia Today network.
So his cadence is phenomenal. I'm gonna rewind that just a little bit. So he has this, and by the way, if you could just make his language German, he would sound like Hitler. The Russia Today program. Oh, hold on a second. That should did not work. Hold on. Listen to it.
Russia Today program has been deployed to promote, actually, Russia Today network has deployed to promote President Putin's fantasy about what is playing out on the ground.
Fantasy.
They almost spend full time devoted to this effort to propagandize and to distort what is happening or not happening in Ukraine. Instead...
Yeah.
Couple of things before he goes on. First of all, why is he promoting Russia Today? Nobody in their right mind
would promote Russia Today
or even knows about it.
Yeah, everyone's like, hey, this sounds like an interesting show to watch, this Russia Today program.
And, so there's something going on with that, because he should just shut up, because Russia Today is a joke.
Well, no, I think it's obvious that he wants to... He's trying to create something that does not exist.
He's fomenting.
Yes.
Well, let me show you an example before, and you can go on with that, but I just want to distract you for a second with the Russia Today, since it was brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Gives me my opening as a lawyer would have it.
Your opening statements, Mr. Dvorak.
Now, here is the way, this is, what he just said is semi-true, but it's not really at the level that he's making it sound. I'm going to give you the best example I could find over the past week or so of needling the United States via Russia Today. And it's so lame. And I was going to take a piece of this and then overlay the Internationale, the song, but I couldn't get a good enough copy, so I couldn't do a production on this. But this is the major story being played on Russia Today to needle the United States, and the clip is the Wichita Falls story.
Oh, all righty.
So Wichita Falls residents will be washing their dishes, bathing, brushing their teeth, drinking, and cooking with water that has come directly from what they just flushed down the toilet. Woo! And they are freaking out about it. Water officials say it's perfectly safe, though. Usually, sewage water goes to a plant that removes solids and then is sent into the Wichita River. But now, instead of being sent to the river, it'll undergo microfiltration and then reverse osmosis to remove contaminants like pharmaceuticals. Then it'll be chemically treated to remove pathogens. Add a dash of chlorine and fluoride, of course, and then it'll go straight back to people's faucets. It might sound gross, but the reality is this is probably going to be a growing trend in America as water becomes scarcer due to droughts, growing populations, and greater consumption. There's an organization called the Water Reuse Association, whose members include utility companies, government officials, and researchers, and they're pushing hard for this to become more common. Cities in California, Florida, and North Carolina are also considering directly reusing sewage, but Wichita Falls is the first one bracing to actually do it. Safety concerns aside, this is just one example of things to come for us in our comfy American homes. That sterilized 1950s image based around consumerism and industrialization is starting to crumble. So get ready, Americans. Poopy water. It's what's going to be on your dinner table soon enough.
All right, hold on a second. First of all, poopy water. Excellent. Let me just, I'll ring the bell for poopy water. What was with the drum fill? What was that?
No, that wasn't me.
Is there some guy just like, hey, we got to do this thing. We're going to make fun of the Yankees on this piece here. We need some, I don't know, you got a drum fill? Yeah, hold on. Wow.
I just thought it was the lamest thing ever.
And that's the propaganda that Herman Munster is so worried about?
Yeah, they're just giving it to us. They're giving us the needle.
By the way, we got an email from Joe. Adam, I work at a water treatment plant in upstate New York. I just listened to show 611 and had to laugh about the municipality dumping their reservoir full of treated water for somebody peeing in it. This is the story that you had on Thursday.
Exactly.
First of all, finished or potable water is usually treated with chlorine and is required to have a residual amount of available chlorine to keep the water clean as it travels through the distribution system, so it would have killed any bacteria added to the water by the urine. Second, the dilution factor of urine to treated water would make the containment undetectable by most any equipment used by public water systems. And third, John is absolutely right about birds pooping in reservoirs. When our reservoir was open to the air and elements, we had hundreds of birds nesting under our pump house, which hung over the reservoir. These birds provided a nearly constant stream of poop in the water. However, no outbreaks of any diseases were ever contracted through our water. Chlorine works, kids. P.S. Chlorine gas can definitely kill you. Now, this is the kind of information you get on the No Agenda show, people.
It's confirmation.
That's right. All right. Back to Watermelon Head Kerry, who is so upset about the Russia Today program, network, propagandizing pooping in the... He must have stock or something in this company. There's no reason other than to trump up something that does not exist for him to mention that.
Happening.
It's
or
weird.
Not.
It's totally weird that he would mention it at all.
Well, I think this is what I'm saying, though, is that they're so...
I can't believe... Well, maybe there is a... But I don't think...
No, they're beside themselves. They can't get anything going. I'll give you my analysis after we listen to the last minute of this douche.
Not happening in Ukraine. Instead, in plain sight, Russia continues to fund, coordinate, and fuel a heavily armed separatist movement in Donetsk.
Now, this is interesting because we know that the State Department continues to try and make the connection between the people who are not in Russian uniform and the Russian army. And so he needs to continue. And this is such minutia. Because all he has to say is, it's the Russian army and it's crazy and we got to kick him out. But no, he's trying to convince everybody for some reason.
Meanwhile,
probably because it's not true,
Russian leaders are making increasingly outrageous claims to justify their action. That the CIA invented the internet in order to control the world.
Now, this is very interesting. This is not what Vladimir Putin said. He did not say the CIA invented the internet to control the world. Yet this is now the twisting of words that John, and you hear his little chuckle there like, he's clearly insane. He's just nuts. Here's Press TV, which is, I guess there's that Iranian TV, Russia-aligned. with a much more accurate translation of what Putin said.
Russian President Vladimir Putin calls the internet a CIA project. The Russian leader has warned his people against making Google searches, as the CIA has, quote, controlled the internet from the start. Putin emphasized that every entry made into Google goes through servers in the United States. He stressed that the internet was a special project, which the CIA has been developing to this day. Putin's comments come on the backdrop of revelations made public by a former NSA contractor. Edward Snowden exposed a massive U.S. surveillance campaign which infringed on the personal liberties of people around the world, including diplomats of American allies.
To me, this was much more a slam against Google than it was against the CIA.
Yeah, I think so too. But as far as I know, just as a point of clarification, not every request done overseas goes to a U.S. server.
No.
They have farms everywhere, and a lot of it's all duplicated.
Well, it's connected. I mean, again, this is
connected, but it doesn't mean that it's all. Yeah.
Right. But without doubt, the internet, of course, was a DARPA project, an American military project, as it started. The CIA, through its many investment arms, including In-Q-Tel, of course, has been funding a lot of... I mean, we talk about this all the time.
Well, there's also the element of this little particular moment, this CIA thing. As if we step back a couple notches, is it possible we're dealing with the NSA?
Yes,
and Putin taking the I don't know what the point of this is about it. It's more of the NSA
slam. Uh-oh.
Well, it should be, but it's not.
You were cutting out for some weird reason, John.
I don't know. So I'm just saying that the NSA is never mentioned.
Not by no. In fact, Putin's mentioning the CIA, which makes it even more interesting.
And then we have the element of Snowden still being in Russia.
Mm-hmm. But anyway,
fishy.
Yeah, Kerry is twisting the words to make it sound like Putin is an insane person to think that the CIA uses any of the internet to spy on people. Oh, this is just crazy, this Putin man.
That the CIA invented the internet in order to control the world.
This is not quite what he said. But okay.
Or that
this is dramatic.
Yeah, it's very dramatic.
Forces occupying buildings, armed to the teeth, wearing brand new matching uniforms and moving in disciplined military formation are merely local activists seeking to exercise their legitimate rights.
They could be Boy Scouts.
They could be American mercenaries.
Just a thought. The American mercenaries love to have big Taliban beards, I'll tell you that.
That is absurd.
Absurd!
And there is no other word to describe it.
Oh, there's plenty of words.
But in the 21st century, where every citizen can broadcast messages, images, and video from the palm of their hand...
Now listen carefully to what he's going to try and say here.
No amount of propaganda is capable of hiding such actions. No amount of propaganda will hide the truth. And the truth is there in the social media and across the pages of newspapers and in the video of televisions for all of the world to see.
What?
Nuts? Let us recap. The truth.
Yes, please.
The truth is for all to see on the social medias, in the newspaper, and on the video on your telescreen. That is what he said. And no one can deny that's fact. It's the truth. That was such a nice sequence. I got to hear it again.
Palm of their hand. No amount of propaganda is capable of hiding such actions. No amount of propaganda will hide the truth. And the truth is there in the social media and across the pages of...
Hold on. The truth is there in the social media. Let's just remind ourselves in the future, John. If we're ever looking for the truth, we know where to find it.
Facebook.
And the truth is there in the social media and across the pages of newspapers and in the video of televisions for all of the world to see.
Fake videos.
No amount of propaganda can withstand that kind of scrutiny today.
The scrutiny of newspapers and television? Really? Okay.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. This guy, by the way, he he is certifiably insane, and I need to play a little clip to prove it. Kerry is in charge of this thing. This is not President Obama. He is in charge. He is the mouthpiece for the neocons and whoever else is behind this move for whatever their reasons are, and we can come up with several. And he does a speech at the Export-Import Bank. Now, the Export-Import Bank is essentially the people who benefit from this kind of behavior. You know, when the IMF puts out, first we rublize a country, then we, lend them some money, and then the Export-Import Bank, it's made in USA stuff that we go sell over there. I'm paraphrasing, but I think that's pretty much correct.
That's kind of one of the theses we use, yes.
So Kerry, amidst all of this very busy time he has, goes to speak with the people who are members of the Export-Import Bank. Big banquet, everyone's, at tables. It's almost like the Academy Awards. And they're all dressed up and everything. And he gets his beautiful intro from, I guess, the president of the Export-Import Bank. It's a government-run outfit, the Export-Import Bank. But it is part of the economic hitman system. And here's what he says.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Hold on a second. Stop before you continue. When you hear somebody doing that, apparently, which makes this even sicker, he was getting a standing O.
This is exactly what this is about. It's a standing ovation, and he...
This is calm down the audience. They were going nuts.
This is a triple whammy when you hear what he says. So just hear the whole thing out. Don't interrupt because it'll blow your mind.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Thank you, Fred. Thank you all very much. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you for a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Winston Churchill said the only reason that people stand and give a standing ovation is they desperately need an excuse to shift their underwear.
Okay, so that's funny. So he's making. So first he's like, "Oh, thank you for that standing ovation for your."
I really rarely see anybody talk and say thank you for the standing ovation. That's weird.
Well, that's because he sets up the joke by saying that Churchill said the only reason why people do that is to shift their underwear. But then he comes back and brings it back to how great he is.
Is they desperately need an excuse to shift their underwear. So I know you all had a much more noble thought in mind.
Oh, because of course you actually love me.
Wow.
The guy is a dick. He really, I mean, that was, I threw up in my mouth. Is he serious? He makes the joke and then he says, "Oh, but of course it was much more noble than that because you are clearly just bowing to me, he who is rebelizing the world for your benefit." And the State Department is, they're really in all kinds of, it's really trouble, I would say, with the press. And this gets no play. You have to watch the stuff in order to get it. I have not seen this reported. I did not see this broadcast. It is, of course, on C-SPAN, which is where I get these clips from. These kinds of interchanges. Now, this is, I believe it's a reporter from a Russian outfit, maybe from Russia Today, engaging with Jen Psaki regarding the troop movements in Ukraine and who may be ordering these.
Was it a coincidence that both times Kiev ordered troops to East Ukraine came right on the heels of top U.S. officials' visit to Kiev? First time it was John Brennan, and this time it was Vice President Joe Biden. Did Vice President Joe Biden advise Kiev to take such action, or was it just a coincidence?
I think you're simply restating Foreign Minister Lavrov's ludicrous claims from yesterday.
But what is the response?
I think we're ready to move on to a new Ukraine question. Go ahead, Elise. Something else? Anyone else in Ukraine? Ukraine, go ahead.
You're simply... she says you're simply repeating the ludicrous claims of Sergei Lavrov. We're moving on.
Wow. What arrogance. That's great. And, of course, then you're hanging out with some elites in Austin, and they won't listen to any of this?
Oh, no.
It's funny how people are all in on some of this stuff. They don't even consider the possibility that this is... It's going to hurt everybody's investment. If everything goes the way they said in the Finnish embassy about having a war in a couple of weeks, which...
It's possible. I think it won't be America-Russia, but it could be by proxy. I think that's possible.
No, that's the way it would be, because I think we've already set ourselves up for a proxy war.
Hold on a second.
It would sink a lot of... What?
Are you on the Comcast? What network are you on?
Why, is it breaking up?
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't had this in a long time.
Let me take a look. It may have switched over when I was fooling around unhooking.
Oh, the old fooling around unhooking bit, huh?
Yeah, why don't you stop for 1 second and I'll switch back. Easy it is.
Yeah, okay, we're back. All right. Well, let's just bookmark that we talk about that jitter issue with Comcast later on in the show.
Yeah, no, I want you to have that little clip so I can send it over to him again.
What little clip?
Oh, a little clip of me jittering.
Oh, okay.
Because if I have that little clip of me jittering, I can send it over to him. I say, here's what we get. And then I don't have it on this other connection, which is slower.
I got you.
Because I bitch to them every so often, and every once in a while they try to do something about it.
So here is what the analysis I have on something that is being overlooked, I believe. Now, we have talked about the Chinese train showing up in Germany. Right?
Yep.
This is the new Silk Road. You'll recall Hillary Clinton was all over this when she was Secretary of State. Oh, the new... In fact, I have the statement here. The United States supports efforts by Afghanistan and its neighbors to expand the web and network of economic and transit connections that exist across South and Central Asia. By helping facilitate greater connectivity and economic growth, this new Silk Road vision recognizes that a secure, stable, and increasingly prosperous Afghanistan can only exist in the context of a secure, stable, increasingly prosperous region. And, of course, the whole idea is that we would be running the new Silk Road. However, and I have these 4 news stories from the past 2 weeks in the show notes. Headlines. President Xi calls on China and Germany to build Silk Road economic belt. Headline. China will reopen the old Silk Road as a new trading route linking Germany, Russia, and China. And here's the kicker. Joe Kaiser, Siemens CEO, we support a trusting relationship with Russian companies because Siemens is building the trains for the new Silk Road. So there's a gotcha in here, which has got to be something that I think we're even overlooking to some degree. Is that Russia is a part of, and this is the Shanghai Cooperative Group. China is shipping through Russia to Germany with German technology. So it's no wonder that we're spying on Merkel. No wonder. And this is
we have to put a stop to this.
What? We have to put a stop to Siemens providing the train. Yeah.
So what's the best way to do that?
Rubbleize.
Exactly.
But rubbleize Germany?
Well, we're not going to be able to rubbleize Germany. We could get them into a heap of trouble. I mean, we could economically rubbleize them. I mean, that's
right. And this is it. So if you go into these sectoral sanctions, which is what do you interpret that to mean, John? Sectoral sanctions.
It's a new word for one thing, which we both noticed. It's like, where did this word? All of a sudden, sectoral sanctions shows up in the media.
It's a clearly a legal term, or let's see, sectoral.
I don't think so. I mean, it might be, but I think the reason they're using it because it's code.
Right. Yes, but sector. I guess it means sector. So specific sectors like let me think, transportation sector.
Or I think it would really refer
more to energy,
economic sectors.
Mm-hmm.
There's an interesting thing. I mean, we're overlooking that some of these sanctions they're supposed to be lame and limp-wristed.
Mm-hmm.
But there was listen to this, because it's possible that the sanctions that we put in place are already damaging Russia in a funny, awkward way. And the reason and what we're overlooking in that regard is that it's ruble flight.
Right,
and there is a clip here from this guy from the Eurasia Foundation or something. It's got his name on here. Kupchin Eurasia Group. The Eurasia Group, you should look them up.
Okay.
And here's his commentary on NewsHour.
For a closer look at how the Russian economy has been affected since the Ukraine crisis began, I'm joined by Cliff Kupchin. He is the head of the Eurasia Group's Russia and Eurasia team. Cliff Kupchin, welcome back to the NewsHour. So let's talk first about the Standard & Poor downgrading of the Russian credit status. What does that really mean for Russia?
It means that Russia's economy is not doing very well. The report made clear that capital flight from Russia is in full stampede. The S&P report told us that on average for the previous 5 years, $51 billion a year, roughly, has left Russia. In the first quarter alone of 2014, between 50 and 60 billion have left. Growth is anemic. Russia's starting to run deficits. They're doing nothing to improve the big picture of the economy. So Mr. Putin's not doing much with his economy.
So who is that affecting inside Russia? Is it just some of the leadership, ordinary people?
Right now, I think it's a muddling down for the ordinary person. Real disposable income, which measures how much a person has to spend, was growing consistently at high rates until last year when it was at 1.9%. So the first victim of all of this is going to be the ordinary Russian, not the fat cat who's got money all over the world.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's always going to hurt the citizens, but who cares? And by the way, no one at this party yesterday is going, man, that kind of sucks for the Russian citizens. There's a lot of Russians in America. I have Russian friends. We have Russia House here. But who cares? We don't even think, we're so arrogant, we don't even think about that. It's one guy with his shirt off, and I hate him. He hates gays and cripples and dogs.
Especially dogs.
Dogs, yeah. So in these sectoral sanctions, I looked at some of the names because they have specific rights. Of course, they wouldn't put Putin's name on there. Which, if you really got balls, you say, okay, Putin. Anything that has Putin's name attached to it, we're going to grab it, because that's what's happening. We're saying, okay, these Russians, if there's any money in America, we're freezing that. It's stealing someone's money.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what it is.
And so there's and everyone's, Putin, the richest man in the world, 40 billion, 70 billion. But no one has ever been able to prove this. Ever. But the name Timchenko, Gennady Timchenko, this is, they did slip his name in, and this is the guy who runs the Gunvor Fund. And the rumor has always been that Putin's money, or some of his investment, his billions of dollars, are in the Gunvor Fund. So they're trying to figure it out, but this is a myth. There has never ever been any proof of Putin's billions of dollars of wealth ever. No one has ever been able to show this. But you'd think the way the propaganda goes that he's the richest leader in the world. He just takes money from everybody. He takes all the Gazprom money. But there's no proof of it. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But you're doing this and you're hurting the Russian people severely.
Well, I think we can expect, if all the stuff we're laying out here leads to where it's going to lead.
Mm-hmm.
There will be further demonization of Putin.
Yeah, we got to come up with a new thing, though.
Yeah, we've gone past the gays and the
gays,
dogs
cripples, and dogs, right?
Cripples and
and obviously
be something else.
And Ukrainians, of course.
So we'll see that in the weeks ahead. And this internet thing can we get very far.
Can we bring back the throwing babies out of incubators? That was a good one for a while, where they did it with Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, throwing babies out of incubators is good.
Always good.
So he's got to hate babies too.
Yeah, that would be good.
Whatever the case, this is not shaping up well.
No, and of course for the West, and I'll just say the EU states and the United States, essentially it's good. Let's get a war going. It's good for the economy. We need to put our troops somewhere. We got to do something with them.
it's good relatively for the economy. It's not going to be very good for Germany's economy, which is another.
Well, this is what I find so interesting. And if you look at the reports from Germany, the press is this. Everyone's freaking out. The people, the citizens of Germany, are on the street saying, "Stop this insanity! We don't want to go to war with Russia. We don't want this." That's not being reported in the media. The media is warmongering. They're like, "Yeah, we got to go to war. We got to kick his ass."
Because the truth can be found in the media,
social media. Well, social media, newspapers, and the video of the telescreens. That's where you find it.
The scripts.
And also, I think we need to look out for Algeria. And now, Algeria is, if I'm not mistaken, next to Libya, right? Let me check that.
Let's look.
See, you got to get your map, people.
It's up in North Africa, that's for sure.
Yes, it's right next to Libya. And Putin has a lot of Russia has I'm even doing it. There's a lot of Russian investment in Algeria, and I think that we're in Libya. We're going to have to move over into Algeria because that's where a lot of natural gas to southern Europe comes from. It all comes from northern Africa. And keep your eye on Algeria. Put it in the book, I'd say. Keep your eye on Algeria. And that could be a Putin thing as well.
Well, we've had Algeria in the book for a while, on and off, and never pans out.
No, you actually called it when Gaddafi's family fled to Algeria. That's when you and this is 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
But Russia is making their moves in Algeria, and that has got to be very annoying to the neocons who are sitting there in Libya, which is already not doing too well. And now there's also, and this is another interesting possible move, Russia and Turkey apparently are in talks to route the South Stream pipeline. You have the North Stream, the South Stream, to route it through Turkey. And Medvedev is going to meet in Ankara next week with, I guess, the one of the ministers in Turkey to see if they can shift the route from going under the Black Sea straight into northwest Turkey.
This is a good time to do that deal because the Turks and us aren't getting along at the moment.
Not at all. But I think the new Silk Road is interesting to look at. I think
there's too many balls in the air for these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one, I was listening to some PBS programming, and there's a lot of propaganda coming out about the North Koreans and this bomb they want to test.
I missed this.
Yeah, they want to test a bomb in the next few days. They were going to do it coincident with Obama floating around South Korea, but then they decided not to.
It's good timing, though. I mean, hey, let me light this thing up.
So this guy sounds like an MI6 guy.
Are you chewing on something?
I have to because I have I'm going to cough.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a cough button.
But you should do like this. My throat. There you go.
Anyway, so this guy from some British guy with a British accent, so he must know something. He seemed like he knew too much, actually.
If you got a British accent and you're in news, you're good to go.
And he knew too much, and he claims that they're going to put off dropping this bomb. They're going to test it probably in the next few weeks. And he says that the main thing to note is that the Iranians will have their observers there like they did the last bomb test because, in fact, the Koreans are building these bombs for them. Right. And they've already got 2 or 3 of them.
Right. That's always the narrative, right.
And so they want to check this new bomb out because it's a tactical bomb. It's apparently it's really small and it packs a wallop, but it's not like an H bomb or anything, but it's a really good bomb. And the Iranians are interested in buying 2 or 3 of these and adding them to their stockpile because everyone knows the Israelis have A-bombs, and now these guys are going to have them, but they don't want to say that they have them, obviously, but this guy's claiming that they have them already, and this is all moot.
I think I put it in the show notes for 6/11 or maybe even as far back as 6'9". I've always wondered, what is the appeal of North Korea? What is it about North Korea? And I found out that they have $6 trillion worth of rare earth minerals in North Korea.
That's nice.
That would be reason enough to want to grab some of that, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
So we can make more iPhones.
Yeah, exactly. It's all for iPhones. Now Samsung takes a piece of that.
Anyway, so I really don't know where it's going next, but this ambassador in Finland, that's worrisome when douchebags like that, who always know too much and talk too much, with too few brain cells. Because let's face it, I mean, look who becomes ambassador. When they start saying these things, you can think that something may be up or that they're being prepared. And by the way, Finland. There's a lot of talk going on that Russia would want to grab Finland. They're right next door.
The Finns always think this. But then they always talk about what happened in World War II and how they kicked the Russians' ass, even though smart historians all know that the only reason that happened was because Stalin fired his top general, who was the kind of strategist that wouldn't have allowed that to take place. They just had a bunch of essentially amateur hour. Okay. No offense to the Finns that are listening to the show.
No.
But I think they're aware of this.
But they'll be the first to go if there's war.
Yeah, and the Russians have a grudge because the Finns have made a point of how we kicked their ass. Seriously, I mean, this is bothersome. Yeah. But I don't think it'd ever get that far. This is just going to be hopefully, although you could have said the same thing about World War I, where it would just be a kind of a local little, let's straighten this mess out in Ukraine, and then we'll figure it out later.
Well, I'll say all wars are banker wars. So this is at the end of the day, it's going to be about money, and there's lots of money in war.
This also fits in with the thesis by your friend who says the real estate prices are all going to go down.
Yes, that's
why would they be going down? Exactly what's going to change that would make them go down in price?
Would war make it go down in price?
It could. Because what happens is that the economy, war does a couple of things. One, it screws up the stock market.
There's something else. What is it? Oh, it kills people. Yeah, I forgot that part.
A lot of people get killed.
Yeah.
But who cares? I mean, according to the bankers, it's just a value.
Cannon fodder.
It kills the stock market, and it devalues a whole bunch of different, and it slows down movement through the banks for the real estate price, for the real estate market, which depresses it, and so you get a slight road bump that goes, pushes it down a little bit. Some areas it won't happen. I mean, I don't think around here, for example, where there's all this douchebaggery startup culture going on.
I have a different take on that. But I feel that the bubble, if war breaks out, all that bull crap, it's just gonna melt. It'll be a super meltdown, and we have evidence of this. We have evidence
during the Bosnian conflagration.
Yeah, but that was too early. That was 1995. And by the way, it did happen after that. It started in 95, and when did it end? The Bosnia conflagration, 97, 98.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 years later, meltdown.
This is no. I would put it in the book if you want, but I just don't see that having much of an effect on these things.
Well, you're going to tell me that we don't have ample evidence that Silicon Valley is just beyond out of control?
Yes, but this got nothing to do with the war.
No, but it's about housing prices.
It's going to crash on its own. That's
about, what I'm it was right. It's housing prices in your area, and I'm saying those are going to come crashing down when this all falls apart. Let me give an example for those who have not seen it, and I know you saw it. At the Next Web in Amsterdam a week ago.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, you got me with that Social song, which I was singing in my head for 4 days. Let's get social. Social media. This is AOL's digital prophet, Shingy.
Yeah. I think most people, if they haven't seen this guy, I've seen him before.
Well, I pointed him out to you.
The first time?
Mm-hmm.
Could be. Whatever the case is, he is the world's worst speaker and douchebag with his hair. What is this? He's got like a bouffant haircut. He looks like Jackie Kennedy just woke up and got out of bed. It's just an unbelievable joke of a character. I think he's a put on.
So this is actually I watched his entire speech at the Next Web, and he is his job. He works at America Online at AOL. And his job is to do his spiel. And I know this spiel, except he does it extremely well. And at the end of the day, the person who is listening to the spiel signs a deal for, $250,000 to advertise on AOL. That's what his job is. That's why he's the digital prophet. And he's talking about the brands and how the brands have a conversation.
They're spelling it wrong.
What?
They're spelling it wrong.
What am I spelling wrong?
Profit.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa. Good one. They probably laugh about that at AOL too, don't they?
I'll bet.
Yeah, you put the P in profit. 2 clips, both relatively short, just to give you an idea of the bull crap that this guy is spouting, that people who spent $1,500 to sit and watch him were just going, ah.
But what I'm seeing in the future, what's going on right now, is multiple use cases for wearables. In this particular instance, this prototype, this is a snap-on wristband that do biometric readings. Awesome. But when I unsnap it becomes a stylus. Fabulous. If I look at this particular device, I wear this over my ear to do auto retailing. Beautiful. Lots of auto. Love, love, love. We love sound. I think the sound in the future is very, very important. But when I'm not listening in, I could take this device off, twist it, becomes a ring, put it on my finger, and has an LED screen. So I'm still connected by visual, not just sound. Incredible.
So we have to remember, whenever you are done with the sentence, you just say, let me try it. President Xi calls on China, Germany to build Silk Road economic belt. Awesome. China will reopen the Silk Road as a new trading route linking Germany, Russia, and China. Fabulous.
Yeah.
And I pulled one more clip just for everyone to. This is where he gets tongue tied and he doesn't even know what he's saying anymore. This was my favorite bit.
So, where are we headed?
Where are we headed? Here's the future. Here's the digital prophet. Everybody, get ready. The prophet is about to speak. You may want to write this down.
If we're going in the age of information and we're now at the age of social, we're going to the age of interest or context.
Interest or context is the age, John. That's where we're going.
Right. I think people are flooding out of these big generic environments in digital, and we're going to these very, very close-knit communities to have very authentic engagements that are more long form.
Very authentic engagements that are more long form. Now listen to this. Bear in mind the more long form, which is, and by the way, he is right. Because that's what we are. We are small community, very small, not very profitable, but very close-knit and long form.
Yeah, especially last show.
I think people are flooding out of these big generic environments in digital, and we're going to these very, very close-knit communities to have very authentic engagements that are more long form, whether it's video, whether it's short form videos.
Okay, it's long form, but it's short form video. Explain that to me.
The long form of the short form video.
Yeah, whether it's short form
obvious
videos, whether it's pictures that explode.
It's pictures that explode.
These are back to the environment of saying, I'm going to move out of the city and go into the neighborhood because I hang out with like minds. And what's also interesting is that how do you think about always on? Is always on always good? Always on is important versus always relevant is more important. So as much as we're always on, how can you be always relevant? Well, I think slow journalism is part of it. So can we actually take time to do thoughtful commentary that actually allows people to digest it in a form that gives them even more information as opposed to just too long didn't read? And also, 90% of consumers last month, 90% of consumers are consuming videos. We're freaky for video, man.
Hey, we're freaky for video, man. But audio, love, love, love. Long form is short form video.
Love, love, love.
Love, love, love. Hey,
love, love.
As you would say, sell short now. Sell short, people. This thing is coming down. And when it comes down, it's coming down hard.
Yeah.
It's
come down hard a couple times within recent memory.
We like exploding video. I need some exploding video.
I see that there's a number of stocks that I would, if this thing turns around, that just looks so beautiful for short.
For short, yeah.
I'd actually put Apple on the list.
So let me tell you something. Visiting, so I got to be careful. I don't want to blow it. Someone dropped by Austin who works at the mothership.
Okay.
I would say high enough up to really know, and it's been there long enough to really know.
And is it someone?
Forget about who it is. I'm not going to tell you.
I'm not going to guess who it is, but I'm just going to ask you this: Is it someone that maybe could introduce you to Bobby Inman? I mean, is it that difficult? Is it that hard to just go knock on his door?
Interestingly enough, yes, because this person had a career like that too. So anyway,
yeah, okay.
Interestingly. And I asked the question, what is it like now that Steve's gone? What do you think the answer was?
Oh, so much better. We don't have to deal with that dick.
Well, there were two answers, actually. The first one was ghost ship.
What?
Ghost ship.
The Apple's a ghost ship?
Yeah, it's like the Malaysian Airlines ghost airplane. It's just flying. It's just flying by itself. There's no one in control. It's just flying.
Yeah, that's actually, I get that.
Ghost ship, and I'm like, okay, I get that. The other thing, and to your point, everybody is kind of really happy that he died because they finally had the final approved architectural design of the new headquarters. Because apparently he kept approving it, hiring, firing. He couldn't make up his mind about the architects, and he did approve one. He approved the design before he passed, and he did. He didn't have enough time in his life to undo that decision. And now this is like Steve's dying wish is to build this HQ, which of course will be the albatross of the company.
Yeah. This reminds me, I ran into the architect of Bill Gates' house years ago. And apparently this was this problem he was having. Second guess on everything. But
that doesn't surprise me. Anyway, so that was the...
My favorite story about Bill Gates' house, which I think it told on this show.
It's when you got kicked out?
4 years ago. I'd never been there. I haven't been invited. Oh. What do you expect? Anyway, the favorite thing was it was being built. Apparently, the big thing amongst the sporting types in Washington State who would be on Lake Washington on their boats was to take pot shots at the house.
With BB guns?
No. Oh. With rifles.
Really?
And so they had to replace this giant front picture window with bulletproof glass.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. I keep receiving internal memos from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They're very interesting to read. They have protesters all the time outside of the headquarters, and they're protesting.
Oh, that's never covered.
No, of course not. Do you think PBS is going up there and NPR, they're going to cover that? No, I don't think so. Their funding may come to a very abrupt halt. Oh, yeah, it's all the time. Happens all the time.
Huh.
In fact, let me...
Somebody get us some photos.
Hold on a second. I can give you... let me see. Let me see if I get lucky here, John. I think I can probably read you one of the internal memos if you're interested.
Yeah.
Okay.
How'd you get the internal memos?
I have... the same way we get stuff from the FBI and the CIA. And come on, John, how do we get it?
I'm just wondering.
Well, because we have people everywhere. Our producers
we have eyes on the ground.
Well, it's true. This is one of the beautiful things of the No Agenda Show is we truly have.
That I didn't get these memos, but that's okay. Don't send anything. Don't duplicate stuff. Just send it to one of us.
I'll also say he does.
That way, only one of us gets it.
Exactly. He does. He encrypts it. I can't find it offhand, but there's. I'll get it. Also, I get the full briefings. You know how the press digest. You know what that's
all
like.
Good stuff. We have to do a special show on these guys. I'd still like to see some photos. I want to see photos of the protesters, or somebody talk to the protesters. I'll go talk to them.
Okay. Anyway, I would like to thank you for your courage, John, and say in the morning to you, John C. Dvorak.
It's still morning?
It is. Barely.
Well, then in the morning to you, Adam Curry. In the morning to all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there listening to the show.
Yes, and in the morning to everyone in the chat room, noagendastream.com, noagendachat.net, who are now back online. We had a little problems with the stream. We just had to kind of start the show just to get it going. Also, in the morning to our artists, and thank you very much, Rob Lytle, Rob Lytle, Lyttle. He provided the artwork for episode 611, and it was good. Liked it a lot.
Well, that's why we picked it.
And noagendaartgenerator.com is where you can take a look at all the art that's always submitted. It's very hard, but we have to pick one. And, of course, we also do use other ones from time to time, either as evergreens or for newsletters or
well, let's thank our executive producers and associate executive producers for show 612, which was actually an interesting number because 12, 6 and 6 is 12. But that's the only person who may have kind of stumbled on that is Sir David Foley, the Archduke of Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And Parts Beyond, who came in with $612.33.
Which means he will be the sole member of the 612 Club. He always throws in the 33 cents for good measure to keep the magic number going.
He came in very late with that donation, and there was no note attached.
Oh.
And I didn't see an email from him, so if he has something to say, we know he's... I saw him in some press thing about the first 4K movie released or something. He's like,
oh, really?
He's a 4K guy. 4K. What's the name of his website?
4kspecial.com.
Yeah. Samir Body in Langley, UK. Berkshire, actually. Okay. It's not our Langley.
Not our Langley. Right.
We've never gotten a donation from there that I know of. 333.33. Of course, this could be from there. You don't know. Hi, John and Adam. Sending you some more of that lovely Langley pound sterling. Yeah. A colleague of mine at my university has completed a study into the Obama 2012 campaign's Facebook page, analyzing the type and post, the type of post and its content, from calls to action to a picture of the Obama family. It was fascinating to see that there were large differences in the number of likes, comments, and shares from the public. It is under peer review right now, so I can't break confidence, but would you like to see this information once it's available?
Yes.
What do you think? Anyway, I don't know if you meant us for just to read that. One more big donation away from my knighthood. Gaz, how do you like them apples? This is Buddy Gaz, I guess, G-A-Z. He's a friend who introduced me to your podcast. Remember, listeners, the truth is volatile. The truth is incendiary. The truth is hotter than a pile of curry. Play No Agenda /NA jingle piece.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Teresa Huxley, a British name if ever there was, Far Hills, New Jersey, $246. She'll be the associate executive producer for show 612. The contribution will complete my loving husband of 15 years into knighthood.
Wait a minute. This is that's better than a BJ in the morning.
And you know what's funny about it? You can get the BJ too.
Yeah. You can have both. You can have your cake and eat it too, so to speak.
Where else can I learn about biostatutes? And the reason my donation is so late is because I have sluggish cognitive tempo. Who knew? As I get ready to depart for my 14th girls' trip, I would like to wish happy, no-failing karma to my girls and me, especially to the three of us, Lee, Shelley, and myself, that I have made all 14 trips with, even while one was pregnant. I guess they have a family thing that they do.
I know.
Lee, I'm really happy.
I know. I think this is like the like high school buddy girls. This is what that's my fantasy.
Oh, well, it could be. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. She doesn't explain it. She says to Lee, I'm really happy you can drink this year. I'm also trading out my wife beater shirt that I wear if we do this time-sharing thing for my Shut Up Slave shirt. I'll also display my wonderful No Agenda bag in Mexico. Please knight my husband, Jim Knight, of Far Hill Steeplechase. And then she has a little...
oh, that's so cool.
Accounting.
Teresa, send pictures in the wife beater.
Jeez.
Hold on, look at a little karma for them all for their trip. They're doing a big trip.
You've got karma.
No falling karma. It's because they're getting drunk, John.
They're getting plastered. You're right. It's a
bunch of hot babes, MILFs out there drinking in wife beaters.
And
pictures.
Probably harassing the men.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, big boy.
Hey, get a load of this. You ain't getting none of it.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we know what they're up to.
Justin Gearing in Manhattan, Kansas, $242 will conclude our associate executive producer. Celebrate his wife, Michelle Trixie's Gearing's 42nd birthday on Sunday, the 27th. I'd like to give her some karma for a continued recovery from recent foot surgery. It sidelined her for 5 weeks, and she still has 2 more months on crutches. This experience made me and my 2 daughters appreciate all she does because, try as I might, I cannot pick up all the slack. She's truly an amazing lady who I love dearly. Also, throw in some more karma for her mom, who was in the ER room for vertigo for unknown reasons on Friday. Otherwise, give a dealer's choice on the soundboard to Mr. Dvorak for a change.
So may I just speak as a medical professional? It could be an allergy. Mickey had this. Remember, she had the cedar allergy, and she had vertigo.
Over.
Yeah, no, she was completely nauseous. She'd turn her head, and she'd be falling over. She had to lie down the whole time. And you can get that with an Atlas adjustment. So don't just consider it. Kansas. Kansas. I'm sure that they could have allergies in Kansas easily.
They have allergies all over the place, especially with the agricultural area.
So I'm only a medical professional. I'm just a thought.
And if I'm going to call something out on the soundboard, I'm going to call out the Clippity Clop song.
Oh, hold on a second. We haven't had that one.
It's Clippity Clop.
The message is clear.
Just Clippity Clop.
You've got karma.
Wow. I didn't know where to find it. It's been so long. I really miss those days.
You better get it back up front because it's going to be coming out.
I miss those days of Hillary.
They'll be back.
The good old days. A little bit of PR before we move on with the show. Thanks to Sir AJ, the peerage map is now updated. And that is all of the knights and barons and dukes and dames and viscountess and countesses, counts and the things. itm.im/peerage is where you can find the map. itm.im/peerage. And we appreciate all of the help we've received today from our executive producers and associate executive producers. We will be thanking all other producers in our segment coming up. These, of course, are real credits. They are valid wherever credits work. We hear that they are very interesting to put on your IMDb, but also on your LinkedIn account. It seems that people like to cruise your information more often. I don't know. Science. Have you seen this?
Seen what?
That people put it on their LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, I've seen quite a bit of it, and they also put it on their signatures.
Yeah. Where else can we put a credit? On your CV, your bio.
Make it on the CV, you can you make stickers, and then when you go to the toll booth plaza, you can stick one on there.
Okay.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it. Hey, please always do the following. Go out, propagate our formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Chemtrails.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
Nice. Okay, let's see. Today, yesterday. Was it yesterday or was that today? Let me find out. Look at this. Yesterday was World Intellectual Property Day.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. But not by presidential proclamation, John, but by proclamation from the United Nations.
Oh.
And they celebrated by essentially talking only about Hollywood movies. Which, of course, is what is. That's correct. That's what intellectual property is about. But by presidential proclamation, we do have Workers' Memorial Day. And that will be tomorrow. Workers' Memorial Day. Have you ever heard of this? Workers' Memorial Day?
No, I've never heard of any of these things.
America is built on the promise of opportunity. We believe that everyone should have a chance to succeed. That what matters is the strength of our work ethic, the scope of our dreams, and willingness to take responsibility for ourselves and each other. Yet each year, workplace illness and injury threaten that promise for millions. Oh, this is an Obamacare thing. I get it. That's funny. Yet each year, workplace illness and injury threaten that promise for millions of Americans, and even more tragically, thousands die on the job. This is unacceptable. Oh, man. On Workers' Memorial Day, we honor those we have lost, and in their memory, affirm everyone's right to a safe workplace. Wow, that's a weird one. And then, of course, with grit and determination, the American labor force has propelled our nation through times of hardship and war. And it laid the foundation for tremendous economic growth. Workers risked life and limb to turn the gears of the Industrial Revolution, raise our first skyscrapers, and lay railroad track that connected our country from coast to coast.
In 1860?
Well.
And that was all Chinese labor.
Good work. That's right, it was the Chinaman. Someone's getting a plaque.
Yeah, just the way it works. Since we just mentioned Hillary, I do have a Hillary clip I want to run out at you. It's just as a one shot. This was taken from the Los Angeles Book Fair, and they had a section, a panel on women authors, women feminism, and the rest of it. I want you to tell me what the very interesting little thing turns up here. The clip has been edited down because there's stuff in between, but there's this woman, there's a radical millennial. She's not a millennial. She is a Generation X, I believe, ranting about the women's movement being stagnant and everybody's an idiot and men are dominating. She had a tongue piercing, which I found disconcerting and unusual. But anyway, she was yakking away. And then she admitted she'd vote for Hillary because, even though she's a war criminal. And I'm thinking, this is where we're headed. This is like, the 90% of all blacks vote for Obama. They don't care anything whether he's any good. They just vote for him and the women are going to do something like similar. But what's interesting is what really came out of this, because the next woman who comes out right after her is a 70-year-old radical woman, and she mentions the same thing about Hillary, and then there's a kind of a little interesting thing that takes place.
And pornography and end patriarchy and the violent degradation of women and enslavement of women around the world. We can talk about that, but we do need mass resistance. And I did want to ask people, look, the idea that Hillary, who's always conciliated with Christian fascists and is a war criminal besides, is going to do anything, and where we should rely on is the Democrats as part of what has poisoned and hamstrung and paralyzed my generation and younger. And I do think people have to get out in the streets and fight. And that is the lesson from previous generations.
Hear, hear. Yes.
All right. This is my dilemma. All right. I'm a veteran. I'm 70 years old. I was in the free speech movement, the women, all the movements. And I totally appreciate the way you feel. Okay. The problem is this. I don't know how much longer I have. I will probably vote for Hillary, even though I have a lot of reservations about her, because before I die, I would really like to see a woman president. That's...
Woo! Does any of you think that there could be a female candidate for president who is not severely compromised for either end of her political spectrum?
Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, but I've been told.
Wow! Whoa! Everyone's off. Elizabeth Warren. What?
Everybody was
interesting.
Everybody in the audience, the panel, all saying Elizabeth Warren.
Interesting.
Huh? This prediction looks a little better, doesn't it?
Well, yes. I will mention that I was at the grocery store yesterday, at the H-E-B, which is our cheap jack grocery store, and Globe Magazine. Have you seen the cover of Globe Magazine?
Nope, I missed that one.
There's Bill on the front, not looking good.
He's easy to make not looking good.
Yeah, he looks like death warmed over.
I know the filter you can use on a guy like that. Yeah. He's got rosacea.
Yeah, and exactly, rosacea. And then there's Chelsea in a little insert box. Dying Bill's baby heartbreak. Clinton won't live to see grandchild.
I had put together on a show, maybe about 6 or 7 shows ago, a series of these clips about this. This has been going on, and I think I mentioned in the newsletter, for at least 2 or 3 years that Bill is going to drop dead any minute, and he just keeps cranking along. So
but obviously you can't just kill the guy outright. You have to set it up a little bit.
Yeah, they've been setting it up for a long time.
Well, it's long game. It's long game.
Be ready.
It's long game.
But I don't know if that's going to help Hillary in this. If these women, these are the radical women that are behind, that are the chatterboxes that are at these events you go to.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of influence, and if there's a meme out there that Hillary's compromised and she's a horrible person and she's a war criminal and all the rest of it, and you got clean as a whistle, rosy cheeks, Elizabeth Warren doesn't wear much makeup.
Pocahontas,
the Indian woman. She has 2 pluses. She's both a woman and an American Indian.
Pocahontas.
And so, I know the Clintons are working on her right now. I'm sure they're trying to dig up the dirt.
Oh yeah. No, well, that of course, the Pocahontas thing was a early preeminent strike.
Yeah.
What do you think they could find on her? I
don't think they're going to find anything.
Oh, John, everybody has something.
Yeah, well, it has to go way back then. It'll probably be something in college or
lesbianism.
But they got down. Hillary can't pull that card,
so to speak,
as it were. So she's not going to be able to do that. I ran into something similar. I'm wondering what's going on here with Fox News, because I was for some reason I was watching The Five.
No, it's not for some reason. You're watching.
I was flipping around now. I flipped around, and there was John Bolton on The Five, and there wasn't any leggy women.
Uh-huh.
And so I listened in on this. They were talking about Clooney's walking off the. There's outside of the United States. Nobody cares about this, but I'm going to mention it because of this clip. Clooney was at some event,
and his girlfriend is wearing an engagement ring.
This is where he's at the event with Steve Wynn.
Oh, where he was angry and drunk.
He was drunk, and Steve Wynn said Obama's an asshole, and Clooney says he's my best friend, and then he stomped off, and so they were discussing this.
But don't you think Clooney's the kind of guy that would you get the feeling he would pop the guy in the nose, but no. Instead, he's like, I'm not going to sit here with you.
Well, so Greg Gutfeld, who's this,
it's douchey.
He's the host of this show. Yeah. He goes after Clooney with all this innuendo about him being gay. I just have a little medley of these clips.
It's a gay medley.
It's a gay medley, and it's like, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I thought it was, anyone in show business we've talked about this before on the show, and so it's fine for us to do it. It's a small show with a unique audience, but I've never seen anybody call out Clooney as being gay with all this crazy innuendo on a network show, especially a Fox show. And Fox is an entertainment network. It's an entertainment business. And I'm just wondering if something's up here.
All know that George Clooney loves men, mentioning his friend Obama.
Mentioning?
Yes.
Wow. Listen, if I got in a fight every time someone called me or one of my friends an
yeah.
I'd be fighting all the time.
When you would hang out with Clooney, did you guys end up taking home a lot of Mentos? Because a lot of times when you drink, your breath smells of alcohol, so there's nothing like a good Mento in your mouth. No?
Oh, no. Well, I didn't, but I didn't see what the end of the night ended up like for him, but I'd be surprised.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's good. Anyway, Sonny, you don't know George Clooney, but isn't it kind of funny that, my theory is that you're so used to hearing people say things that you agree with that your skin becomes so thin. He's not used to people criticizing, his Lord and Savior.
I'm still laughing at the Mentos.
So basically, what I've learned from tonight is that Clooney's gay, needing a lot of respect from you.
I don't even follow what you're saying. It's like we make jokes about that sometimes with other people who are probably, lean that way. Mm-hmm. George Clooney is as straight as an arrow.
Yeah. Okay.
'Cause I'm a flexible man.
Yeah, somebody give me an Appletini. George Clooney is a spy.
I found it weird.
Yeah, well, maybe it's maybe it's time for him to. Clooney's been riding high for a long time. His Monuments Men flopped severely. The whole PR campaign, everything about that movie went wrong. It was his Ishtar, and he had everybody in it. And you're up, you're down. This is how it works in Hollywood. Maybe it's time for him to get kicked down a little bit, and this is how they start. There's nothing funnier than calling a masculine guy with hot chicks gay. Face it, that's what we do.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. There is, of course, a war on men, bringing it back around to Hillary. And this is an ongoing, we have, of course, women have been discriminated against. They do more of the work. They make less of the money. And this is to help either Hillary or Pocahontas Warren. Here is the Sunday Review in the New York Times. The media has a woman problem. It's an opinion piece. Talking about, so here's, who wrote this? Lisa Mundy. Do you know her, Lisa Mundy?
Nope.
Just so the idea, I'll just read a little bit of it. They were, to a man, men. All were white, all in their 40s or thereabouts. Most had dark hair. It was the mid-1990s, and I was interviewing at the Washington Post for the job of managing editor of the Sunday magazine. A morning of intimidating meetings with newsroom officials had given way to lunch with magazine's editors and elite staff writers. And it goes on to say that women are underrepresented. She even brings in STEM here. Even as newsrooms may be recruiting more women to hard news beats, a new generation of big-name entrepreneurial ventures like Vox.com and 538.com seem to be favoring men. As sobering as the numbers are for women in journalism, they are worse in some other fields. According to the National Science Foundation, women take 41% of science and engineering PhDs, but they are less than a quarter of the STEM. For decades, nearly half of law students have been women. But while they make up 64% of staff lawyers, they are just 17% of equity partners. So, women are getting a raw deal. Of course, there's also more men in prison, more men dying on battlefiels. We don't need to talk about that, I guess.
We need to put more women in prison. She's right.
I agree. Orange is the new black. But now this is going so far, and I believe this has something to do with either. Just we need a woman as president. That is a given. This is a given.
You fell into it,
right? But listen to how far they're taking this on the Today Show.
We all know about a pay gap that exists for adult men and women in the work world, but there's surprising new numbers this morning revealing that gap actually begins during childhood with the allowances we pay our kids. In a new survey, 70% of boys say they get an allowance. That's compared to just 60% of girls.
What? Okay, it's true, even though another study finds that girls spend more time doing chores. So basically, girls are doing more for less. This sounds kind of familiar, right? The shock...
Sounds kind of familiar, right?
I think this is going to shock a lot of you. We asked you on our Facebook page, do you think a gender gap exists when it comes to kids' allowances? 87% of you saying no, 13% saying yes. We had a whole discussion about allowances. And
we pay our kids the same amount, boy or girl, but I will be honest with you, my daughter does more for her allowance in terms of chores.
So, me, I've got the no agenda mindset. I'm like, well, what study was this? This is a study done by juniораchievement.org. Oh, yes. Another fine nonprofit organization. juniораchievement.org. Junior Achievement is the world's largest organization dedicated to educating students about workforce readiness, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy through experimental hands-on programs. Sponsored by HSBC, Microsoft, Citi Foundation, Accenture, AT&T, Capital One.
What's in your wallet?
Thank you. It's really, men and women are different. I'm sorry. There's different. This is why there's more men in prison. Do you want equality? Do we really want that? I'm just getting a little tired of this. Women make less money for more work, which it's been proven to be very, very close to not true. But we just continue to propagate the
different
meme.
work. You get different money for different jobs. But I'm looking for anything on this Junior Achievement site that tells me who runs this operation. There's no About Us.
Yeah, there is.
Where?
The way you do that is you always, if you go down to the bottom.
No, I'm looking at the bottom.
See on the right, About.
Get involved. About. Okay, do they have the person there? Do they have the
no, we have alum though. Let's look at alum.
Alum is no good. That means people that once worked there.
But that'll help.
No, I'm looking. It doesn't help.
Hall of Fame. No. Business Hall of Fame. No, this is a Chicago outfit.
Oh, there we go.
It's another Chicago outfit. I'm telling you.
Well, it says it's on One Education Way, Colorado Springs, Colorado. So that doesn't jive with that. Site. Here's a good one. This always works. Oh, here it is. Leadership. Finally.
Where's that?
There he is.
Where's leadership?
Jack Kazakowski. Hey, Jackie. What?
Kazakowski.
Number 2, Buzzy Thibodeau.
Buzzy, woo!
Hey, Buzzy Thibodeau here.
Buzzy.
Who looks
Buzzy.
like he looks like a guy named Buzzy. These are really old guys. Tim Armijo.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Howard
Good to meet
Partner.
you. Good to meet you.
The bookkeeper.
Well, let's move straight into something that I think you'll really dig. Common Core.
We need a theme for this. Somebody has got to provide us with
We need a Common Core jingle. I know.
A segue jingle for Common Core, because this is going to be a topic of conversation for the next year, at least.
So I love it when we get emails from kids in high school. Who listen to the show, because that is our future, and at least there's some kids who are awakened. And this is from Leland. Yo! In the morning, I'm a recent addition to the No Agenda community and thought you might appreciate the scale of the LGBTQIAAP Common Core STEM takeover I'm experiencing as a junior in a California high school. So this is a two-parter. Beginning on Monday of this week, you can find these, see attachment, photos posted in every hallway and on every bathroom. I didn't check the locker rooms, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're there as well. Now I'm going to open these up, and I should have emailed them to you. I'm sorry, my mistake. So there's one, and this is it's a piece of paper tacked onto the wall, and it's an announcement, and the announcement is Cheers for Queers Wednesday. And then on the girls' restroom, I got to zoom in on this. It's not that easy to see. It's a sign that says, I won't say which high school. High school is committed to protecting all students regardless of gender identity. All students who identify as female are welcome to use this restroom. I found that pretty interesting. Now, in STEM and common...
question, by the way, you know, this is an issue. There
it's
are,
an issue.
I believe, men floating around that decided
to identify as female.
Just to identify as female, not to do anything female-like, not to get a sex change,
just to hang out in the bathroom,
not to exactly.
Yeah, of course.
They have identified as female
today.
And they say females.
On Queer Wednesday, I identify as female to hang out in that restroom.
Yeah.
It's, by the way, it's no fun in the girls. And girls, let me tell you something.
You've done this?
Oh yeah. I would love nothing more than to be in the women's restroom, because men's restrooms are disgusting. I hate them. You know, if you're at the airport, just for the women who listen, and you can ask your man. You go in there, guys. This is the sound of the men's restroom. Am I right?
You know, I don't hang out that much in the restroom of an airport.
They're always hawking loogies. They're farting.
No noisy group of guys.
Oh, I hate men's restroom. I really do. You can ask Mickey. I will wait until we're home to go to the bathroom. I don't want to go. I don't like it.
Okay.
I'm uncomfortable.
You've made your point.
I made my point. In STEM and Common Core news, my school's district has recently signed a contract with a company called New Tech Network, and who are partners with
How's that spelled?
Well, hold on. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Carnegie Corporation. My school is being invaded. So, his I copied his email in the show notes, but I went to. You got to see this. This is fantastic. The New Tech Network. Okay, you can find this, John, at
I just need to know how to spell it.
Oh, and November Echo Whiskey Tango Echo Charlie Hotel Network.org. And I have a little clip because I have lots of video and lots of interesting things to learn about. Here is the New Tech Network. This is their promo video, and they apparently have some. This is all Common Core. They have some fantastic new system of how to learn.
Picture this.
If you can completely reimagine what high school is, what would it look like?
This right here is New Tech at Zion Van Ness.
One of over 100 New Tech schools
across the nation. Yo.
Down to earth. Here we are in Zion, Illinois.
Right in Chicago's backyard. And here we really got something cooking. It starts with three revolutionary ideas. Number one. Project-based learning.
Social.
Excuse me? Come again?
Let's speak to your manager.
Doesn't this sound like Radio Labs?
A little bit.
Yeah, this is project-based. I can't even play this whole thing. It's so horrible. Project-based learning. So, and I'm like, this is you're looking at the website, I'm sure, John, by now. And so I'm looking through this, and it turns out this is not the mothership. Oh, no. This is a subsidiary of KnowledgeWorks. And KnowledgeWorks, and these are all nonprofits. KnowledgeWorks, I pulled their Form 990. A nonprofit organization, of course, mainly financed by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. What do you think their total assets were at the end of 2012?
$20 million.
$190 million.
Holy mackerel. I thought my number was outrageous.
Listen to this. This outfit is, you got to go knowledgeworks.org. Listen to the salaries. The founder and director, not even the CEO, the founder, Chad P. Wick, makes $500,000 a year. The CEO makes $450,000 a year. The board members are making $300,000 a year. This thing is a monster. Now, but this is what's great about them. They were a student loan company that converted, and they still pay out over $1 million for student loan consulting. So the way I see this thing working, they have this big organization that helps schools implement, I guess, project-based learning, and they also help you with the financing. This is the epitome of what I hate about nonprofits. Their salary, their payroll is to almost the number, almost $20 million. Tax-free, just flushing money through the system, grabbing government, federal money, state money, and listen to the VP of Strategic Planning, oh yes, Meredith Meyer, an up-talker to the max. Listen to the bullshit coming out of her pie hole.
KnowledgeWorks started in 2000, and it was a student lending business conversion.
Student business lending conversion.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Play it again. You mixed the words up and confused me.
KnowledgeWorks started in 2000, and it was a student lending business conversion.
Yeah. Student business lending conversion.
No, you mixed it up. A student lending business conversion.
KnowledgeWorks started in 2000, and it was a student lending business conversion.
Student lending business conversion.
Yeah.
What is that?
They pick up the student. This is what I think it is. I have to look it up, and I'm just going from what I believe it to be. You pick up a bunch of student loans that somebody else has consolidated. You convert them into a note and either sell it to somebody, or it's just like the home mortgage thing, as far as I can tell.
They lend money for student loans, John. They're a fucking bank.
Yeah.
And they made $6.5 million in interest on student loans in 2012. So they sell this bullshit about, oh, yeah, we're going to help you, project-based learning, whatever. Meanwhile, they're gouging.
Yeah. Well, they're all gouging. The government's gouging. We know that.
Now listen to her.
KnowledgeWorks started in 2000, and it was a student lending business conversion. In the past 10 years, we've expanded to over 40 states, and we now act as more of a social enterprise.
Okay, stop.
Social enterprise?
Stop. Now, I after hearing the whole thing in context, I believe what she meant was student lending business conversion. They were student loan people that converted.
Correct, that converted, yes.
Yeah, it has gotten to do with consolidating loans.
No, but they have not converted. They have only added on because they're still making $6.5 million in interest. That's why they have such a huge cap table.
It's great.
They have $190 million in assets because it's all the student loan business.
And it's all nonprofit.
Yeah, thank you.
In the past 10 years, we've expanded to over 40 states, and we now act as more of a social enterprise.
Social enterprise?
Fee-for-service subsidiaries, policy work, just a lot deeper portfolio of work than when we started. KnowledgeWorks works with over 200 schools and communities around the country. Over the past almost 15 years, we've touched nearly 200,000 students.
Don't touch students. That's illegal.
Students.
Don't touch students.
KnowledgeWorks manages a portfolio of 3 subsidiary organizations. So we have New Tech Network and EdWorks, which are school development organizations.
Which is selling technology. EdWorks basically goes in and consults to sell you Microsoft shit.
And then we have Strive Network, as well as the Strive Partnership, which is focused in Cincinnati. And Strive Network is a Cradle to Career initiative.
Cradle to Career initiative. Can you believe this? Cradle to Career initiative. Cradle to Career.
Shut up, slave.
Cradle to Career. We got you. Don't worry. Just give us your kid. Cradle to Career initiative. This looks like, oh, what can you be? You can work at Walmart.
So we have New Tech Network and EdWorks, which are school development organizations. And then we have Strive Network, as well as the Strive Partnership, which is focused in Cincinnati. And Strive Network is a Cradle to Career initiative. A number of our subsidiaries are focused on first-generation college goers, poor and minority students, students in rural areas who may not have access to the quality of education that they and their parents would like. So really, over the history of KnowledgeWorks, we've been focused on these underserved populations, and that's a really important part of our mission and purpose.
I bet it is. It's like you like to take the minorities and you like to cradle to career, just slave farm.
Along with our work on the ground, KnowledgeWorks is also very much engaged in thinking about the future of education. So since 2006, we've created 3 future forecasts of learning. We were actually the first organization in the country to think about in a comprehensive way what the future of education looks like. And we've actually shared 200,000 copies of that forecast with stakeholders around the country. So that's really put KnowledgeWorks on the map nationally in terms of our thought leadership. It's not just a few people sitting in Cincinnati kind of cooking.
It's like Silicon Valley, only with your kids.
Oh no, this is all the contamination from Silicon Valley, and largely, I believe, from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Yes,
which is totally contaminated everything. Now, did you bring this up? And the fact that we don't know about any of this stuff on any other media, I want you to play this clip. This is the affirmative action clip that has Brooks. They have Brooks and Shields. There's 2 guys. The Brooks guy is the supposedly represents the conservative Republican side. David Brooks, the New York Times columnist, and then Shields represents the Republican or the Democrats. But there's a little thing in here that nobody bothers to bring up, ask. It was a red flag as far as I was concerned. This is Brooks talking about what happened was a court case overturned a lot of these affirmative action programs because they're discriminatory in a very obvious way, but just play this.
Into a black and white solution when democratic processes have the advantage of more flexibility and get some moderate solutions. So I'm glad they deferred to the Democratic majority. Now, as for how it's going to affect colleges, I do think we're already in an evolution. I think colleges are already moving away from race-based and toward more class-based systems. And the second thing they're doing, in particular, is they're recruiting more. And you can recruit. There are lots of places in African-American areas and Latino areas where there are a lot of very smart kids who just don't apply. They don't know the process. It doesn't occur to them. They apply to some other schools. And so a school, say the University of Michigan, can really, and I'm sure they are much more heavily recruited. I know all the schools I'm affiliated with, much more heavily recruiting.
Okay.
All the schools I'm affiliated with.
Yeah. Is there a conflict of interest somewhere?
Now, when I hear that, the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, well, hold on a second. What do you mean all the schools you're affiliated with? What schools are these, and what is your affiliation? But does that happen? Does the guy next to him say anything? Does the blondie that's on the NewsHour say anything? No, it just goes, just keeps going.
Well, it falls.
What is he affiliated with as a reporter from the New York Times columnist?
Oh, yes, you need to point that out. Yeah, well, it's like, what's his face? Paul Krugman, who, when all those emails that got published about his PhD at CUNY.
Yeah, what about it?
Well, it's like $300,000 a year, and it literally says you won't have to do anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And just wear the robe. From the KnowledgeWorks 990, certain KnowledgeWorks Foundation board members are also members of the boards of certain KnowledgeWorks Foundation affiliates. These overlapping board memberships constitute a business relationship as defined by the Form 990 instructions. This falls under the heading of what are the no, I've lost it. What do the stupid journalists say when they full disclosure? Yes. Full disclosure.
Disclosure's good.
It's disclosure, but it doesn't mean that you're not slanted or that it's not bogative. And of course, if you go look into the structure of the people on the board in this, and this is a great board, by the way, in this KnowledgeWorks. Have you gone to the KnowledgeWorks?
I haven't looked at the board.
Okay, let's look at the board. A couple of interesting people show up, like Barry Schuler. You remember Barry Schuler?
The name rings a bell.
From AOL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, this is a fantastic board. Just look at this. The Honorable Nathaniel R. Jones. Lucy Lipovsky, Ph.D. Barry Schuler, an acclaimed internet pioneer. Barry Schuler has developed emerging technologies and successful enterprises. Really? And there's Chad P. Wick, innovator who seeks to create equity of education. Ah, that's a great line. Chad Wick is an innovator who seeks to create equity of education opportunity in order to prepare learners to thrive in the 21st century.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, he's the founder that's making over $500,000 just sitting on his butt.
Yeah. Now, he comes from, this all boils back to ACT, which is part of Achieve, which is the mothership of Common Core. This thing is so big and so intricate, and it is just a sinkhole of money. And I'm a little torn because you did say something a couple episodes ago, and you made a good point. Like, this is not unique that economies and countries have decided, well, we need to create a pipeline of our children into jobs, but to me it's just so, it's become a little too apparent. Yet you have the companies who want to suck the slaves into their system sponsoring this STEM and project-based learning. To me is like the military. It's like everybody is segregated. What's the word?
Brainwashed.
Compartmentalized.
Let me say something, and I don't know what you're referring to that I said in the past, but I want to point something out here when we look at these things, and we look at a lot of these, and we look at this board and all these people making all this money. This has been a trend. I think it's part of a bigger trend that began way before the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation began, and it was the stuffing, the expansion, the bloating of middle management in the educational infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And it began in the 70s, from what I can tell, where you'd have bigger and bigger management systems in between the teachers and the students and the schools and the superintendent and the school district, and all these layers and layers of middle managers that had nothing to do with teaching kids. This entire board has got nothing to do with teaching kids anything.
No.
And then they have people working for them. And it's almost as though these things kind of exist on their own. Oh, yeah, we got this little thing. We got to teach these kids something once in a while. Well, let's deal with that after we divvy up the money. And this has been this is the problem. The whole Common Core being a bureaucracy that it is. This is the problem.
Yes. Well, if you look at, and this is why these 990s are so much fun to look at. If you look at the money they're dispersing, it's to, probably 100 just on this, from this company alone, nonprofits. I'll just give you, let me just read a couple. So this is Knowledge Works, but then they have Knowledge Works Intermediary, KWSL, EdWorks, Strive. There's the New Tech Networks, but then they have Knowledge Funding, Student Lending Works. Let me go down the list here. It's obscene, and all of these organizations all have their own boards and all have their own management. Let's see, Whole Again International. It's like the Inter-Alliance of Greater Cincinnati, the Research Foundation of State University, Teach for America.
These are people that are getting money from these.
Yes, yeah. And we're talking 100,000, 75,000. St. Aloysius Orphanage Foundation, Powerful Schools, Grant Makers Forum 37, whatever that is. Napa Learns, Napa Valley Unified School District, Meyerson Academy, High Tech High. Yeah, that's where I should have gone.
High Tech High.
Yeah, High Tech High,
sounds
everybody.
Like a movie.
Lighthouse Youth. And everybody is making money every single step of the way. And to your point, here's an email from producer Andrew in the morning, Adam and John. I just finished listening to episode 611 where barcodes on scrap paper handed out to students during Common Core standardized testing. I currently work a temporary job at a testing company based in Dover, New Hampshire, that is also a nonprofit. I work in the department where we receive boxes filled with completed tests, booklets, and scrap paper from schools and states we have contracts with. So far this year, I have worked on contracts with Massachusetts, New Mexico, New York, and Nevada. My main job is to sort through all of the paper the schools send us so that it can be stored in a warehouse and ultimately destroyed. At the end of the day, I'm required to fill out a timesheet where I bill my hours directly to the states whose contracts I worked on. I earn $10 an hour. This nonprofit has a lot of brand new BMWs and Lexuses in their parking lot during business hours. Meanwhile, our break room has a vending machine from which you can buy instant mac and cheese. Thank you for hitting me in the mouth and making me see my own status as a slave for the Common Core cabal.
Yep. Hello, slave.
Hello, slave. But now there is good news. Do you remember In Bloom? This is the company that another $100 million Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation outfit that was going to store all of the students' records and their data. And this became a big...
in the cloud.
In the cloud, and this became a big fracas, particularly in New York State. They are closing down.
Good.
But the ease with which $100 million investment just closes down, that's the thing that scares. I mean, it's great that the New York State educators and legislators were onto this and said, hey, we're not going to let you store this stuff in your cloud there. But wow, the fact that they have no problem shutting down $100 million investment. Let's see. I have a part of his. Thank you, New York Times, for popping up some kind of video ad. We're crazy for video, man. Here's his, let's see. We stepped up to, this is from the chief executive officer. We stepped up to the occasion, supported our partners with passion, but we have realized that this concept is still new, and building public acceptance for the solution will require more time and resources than anyone could have anticipated. Therefore, in full alignment with the InBloom board of directors and funders, I have made the decision to wind down the organization over the coming months. It wasn't an easy decision, and the unavailability of this technology is a real missed opportunity for teachers and school districts seeking to improve student learning. I want to thank you for your partnership in our endeavors and look forward to speaking with many of you in the coming months. Yvonne Streigenberger. So they shut it down. That's good.
Yeah, 1 out of thousands.
Yeah. But wow, isn't it just incredible when you see this organization, this student lending organization?
No, this whole thing is a bottomless pit. We could just we could stop doing the No Agenda show
just
and do a Common Core show.
Yeah.
That would last forever.
Cradle to Career.
We never even get to the bottom of it.
I think we should write, that should be our show title.
What? Common Core Forever?
No, Cradle to Career.
That's not a bad one. I have a better one, I think.
Okay, well, don't tell me yet. But I like Cradle to Career.
Yeah,
but the good. Ease with which that's said. Does anyone
Cradle to Career? When they have this, there was the special on the baby preschool.
Yeah,
there's a school in New York, $30,000 a year. You drop your baby off. Your baby.
Yeah,
and they teach the baby stuff like learning to explore is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the baby, which means you take the baby out of the bassinet and you let him wander around.
I'm exploring.
It's $30,000 a year, and the people are flocking to this because they think it may give the kid an edge. Because in New York, all these private schools and all the rest, are parents in New York City, in particular, especially Manhattanites, are all freaked out about their kid not getting in the right school, not getting in the right fraternity, and all this other kind of crap that makes these people neurotic. So, yeah.
And also, the Cradle to Career, it includes your shots. Make sure you get all your vaccinations. Make sure you get them all. Yeah. Now, of course, what we're discussing right here, you will not hear this conversation on your national treasure, because this is the corruption of a model of advertising or sponsorship, underwriting, whatever you want to call it. The corruption is when you have the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation paying NPR and PBS, our national treasures. You will not have, of course, they will do once in a while. They have to do something, but it'll be very scripted, very managed, and it will probably be set up in advance. But to what we just did here, showing you how this works and what is the word?
Deconstruction is one of them.
No, just the disgusting nature of it. The filth. It's filth.
Well, corruption breeds corruption. So when you have a corrupt media that is corrupted by corruptors, I sound like a lunatic, but they're the same people involved in corrupting the educational system and everything else. They're corruptors.
Yeah.
And the media will not, since they're all in the same boat, what are they going to do? They're not going to go after anything. Or we're not even going after anybody. No. All we're doing is telling you what's going on.
Reading a document.
It's not like this guy's this douchebag, and that goes without saying with a lot of these guys. But we're just saying, look, here's what's going on. And we read a few things from what kids are observing out there, who have to put up with this crap. We don't. But we have to put up with it as taxpayers and responsible Americans and responsible Europeans, responsible whoever you are. We have to be aware of these people stealing our money.
Yes.
It's all money theft.
It's theft.
It's theft.
So the State Department, who have their own version of corruption when it comes to the media, because, of course, it's on the social media, in the newspaper, and on the telescreen, so therefore it must be true. They have Press Freedom Week. Press Freedom Week, John.
Where are they going to hold that? Mexico City?
And again, one day I hope to shake this guy's hand. You know who I'm talking about, don't you?
Clooney?
I hope to do more with Clooney than shake his hand. No, Matt from AP.
Oh, Matt.
Matt.
Yeah, he probably has a bunch of fans, and he probably he just seems like a dick that would be.
He seems like a guy you could drink with a lot.
He might be, but he probably has a lot more stories than you do.
Yeah, so.
Well, I mean, it's I don't know. He just I like him. Well, I like his role.
Yes, indeed. I like putting him in the spotlight, and this is. He is one of the few guys who actually ask the questions that we always want asked. Now, it goes nowhere. It's not like he writes this down in AP, but at least he's entertaining himself, which is what I would do if I were sitting there listening to Jen Psaki spout off about how great the State Department is with their press freedom.
One more announcement for all of you. With World Press Freedom Day around the corner on May 3rd, the department will launch its 3rd annual Free the Press campaign later this afternoon in New York.
Its annual Free the Press campaign.
Free the press? Are they imprisoned?
Well, listen.
The U.S. UN mission, beginning on Monday and all of next week. We will highlight emblematic cases of imperiled reporters and media outlets that have been targeted, oppressed, imprisoned, or otherwise harassed because of their professional work.
There's your answer. So targeted, suppressed, or otherwise harassed because of their profession.
Just on that, reporters who are, harassed? I'm sorry.
Targeted, oppressed, imprisoned, or otherwise harassed.
Otherwise harassed. Does that include those who may have been targeted, harassed, imprisoned, or otherwise whatever by the United States government?
I think you're familiar with our Free the Press campaign, Matt.
Fair enough. So it does not include those who might have been harassed.
We highlight, as we often do, where we see issues with media freedom around the world.
Right, I understand. But you would say that you don't. The U.S. does not believe that it has a problem with press freedom, or if it does, that it's not nearly as severe as the problems in other countries.
We do not. I think we can look at many of the problems on media press freedom. Yeah.
Overall, in general, the administration does not regard attempting to prosecute American journalists as an infringement of press freedom.
I'm not sure what you're
Well, there's several cases that are out there right now. The one that springs to mind is the James Risen case, where the Justice Department is attempting to prosecute. You don't. I just want to.
Well, Matt, obviously,
I just want to know if you regard that as an infringement on press freedom or not, and I suspect that you do not, but I want to make sure that that's the case.
As you know, and I'll of course refer to the Department of Justice, but the leaking of classified information is in a separate category. What we're talking about here, as you all know, and unfortunately we have to talk about on a regular basis here, is the targeting of journalists, the arrests, the imprisonment for simply exercising their ability to tell a story.
Right. I understand that, and I'm sure myself and all of my colleagues were very appreciative of that. But the reporters in question here have not leaked the information; they simply published it. So, is it correct then that you don't regard that as an infringement of press freedom?
We don't.
Okay.
I don't have anything more to say on that case.
Okay.
Do we have a new topic?
Okay, that's clip of the day.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. I was ready for it, though, of course.
Clip of the day. What a stooge.
Oh, my goodness. But the audacity, the hubris to have a press freedom day.
Free the press.
Free the press day. Free the press. Where we're the most restrictive, non-transparent government in our history. Is laughable. But have we found that airplane yet?
They're still looking.
Yes, they are.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
I wouldn't call show 612 a sterling example of support. But we did have some people help us out, and I want to mention them, including Chevalier Jean of The Hague, $133.33.
It's a drunk donation.
Oh, well, now I'll read it.
Yeah, please.
We don't have that many. Drunk donation. We've been celebrating my smoking hot girlfriend Nancy's 33rd birthday. I'm pretty hammered at the moment. Of clearness, I remembered I vowed to donate on top of my $33.33 a month donation after finishing last episode over coffee with her. One of the best episodes ever for sure, if not the best. Or perhaps we just missed you guys so much over Easter. I humbly requisition 33 as the magic number birthday shout out for Nancy turning 33. Real estate karma for Nancy. Third dose. Previous to help to get property and ownership into shop, and it will hit the market soon. We're now convinced the karma will make it work. Thanks for your hard work.
33. That's a magic number.
You've got karma.
Nothing like a good drunk donation.
Jennifer Loveberg in San Marcos, California, 12764. Got a birthday call out coming up. Adam, your TSA account was disgusting. I'm never going through the slave scanner. In fact, I'm flying through San Jose tomorrow, and I do speak Spanish. Muchas gracias from northern Mexico, Escondido, California. And she's actually trying to do. We're getting a lot of notes like this. She is a female trying to convert her husband to the show.
Really?
When we started this, I've got a lot of notes about this.
Interesting.
When we started doing the show, it was just the opposite.
There was not a single woman that would even come near
listeners.
us. No.
Right. And the men were trying to get their girlfriends, their wives to listen to the show, and some of them
and they were having none of it.
And a lot of them were getting divorced because of it and the rest of it.
Yeah.
This has switched around. I'm telling you, it's mostly women now.
Is this because of the pussification of the male?
I don't know what it. I don't think that would. I mean, it's possible that's what it is, but generally speaking,
or are women just more interested and active now that we have Hillary and Pocahontas
on
deck?
Doorstep?
On deck, yeah.
Or are women? I would like one of the women. We have a lot of women listeners. I want one of them to send me a note explaining this phenomenon.
Or is it just because they're superior? They're smarter. They're more hip. They're with it. They take longer to catch on, but once they're in, then they're all in and they get it. Send pictures.
Nicholas Principe in Raleigh, North Carolina, 12321. Michael Shepard in Bloomington, Indiana, 11633. Robert Mueller in Chesapeake, Virginia comes in again with $133.
I wish.
Mark Tanner, I unfortunately I had a check that should have been mentioned in a previous show, so he has two $50 donations. He's in Whittier, and I realized with these, he is essentially donating $50 every 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. So he's Sir Mark Tanner. I'm sure we're going to do some research.
Well, people, just to reiterate, you need to do your own accounting, but also when you have a title, if you donate, put your title in there. You got to be proud of these titles, and you've got to bear it like the medal that it is, and let us know so we can address you appropriately.
Okay, that was Benjamin Rogers Ritgers. I'm sorry, in Ames, Iowa, 999. Now he sent a note in, and unfortunately, I didn't realize I should have sent a note to Eric. He needs a birthday. You have to get your pen out. Mm-hmm. He needs a birthday shout out for my birthday, which is on April 22nd. And
okay, hold on a second.
Give him a birthday shout on today's show.
So this is Benjamin Ritgers,
and he writes in longhand. And I can really, I'm beginning to take the side.
April 22nd. You said
yes.
And do we have an age?
No age.
Okay.
But from this longhand, I guess he's. I can't guess his age. What am I thinking? I'm disappointed you didn't deconstruct the old propaganda of Russia warning us about the Boston bombers to the new propaganda that they withhold information from us.
We talked about that.
Yeah, we have actually. The Russians did provide all. In fact, it's coming out even more and more that they told us everything, and now, of course, they don't tell us anything supposedly. But this is all bull crap. Okay. Anyway, whoops. Hold on.
You okay?
Well, I know I made him.
Do you have the life call on?
Something fell, and it wasn't me.
What fell?
My M audio thing.
Oh,
I was moving the mic, and then off the shelf it came.
We're still good.
Anonymous.
Hey, hold on a second.
What?
What happened to Club 33?
What do you mean Club 33? Yeah. As I said, next Thursday. It's final. The finals going in.
Oh, I thought it was going to be today. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
So Thursday, everyone can set their clock for it?
Yeah, well, as long as they sign off.
All right.
Anonymous in Bumfuck, Oregon. 9973. I've been to Bumfuck. It's just south of Salem. We got some Job Karma upgrade for you after the list here.
Yes,
Wendy, which I guess we didn't do Job Karma last time.
Yeah, we did. We did. I do it. I do it every single time. Yes, I did it.
I'm just saying. Wendy to the stage. $81. She sent a note in. So I sometimes suspect that John trolls me by swearing things aren't true just so I will write in and send money. But it always works. When I was 5 in 1986, I was the first kid in my class to get chicken pox. Not only did my mother make me sleep in the bed with my sister, who was 3, all the neighbor kids, this is a sick world in the 80s.
But, you said that there were no chicken pox parties. I've got nothing but emails from people saying, yes,
I haven't heard from anybody that was in the 60s. All the neighbors' kids came over, touched my skin so they would get it. Once it was in the church bulletin that I had the pox. Like 15 parents sent their kids over to get infected and get it over with.
Nice.
This is in 86 again. I don't quite remember it being a chicken pox party, but parents were definitely infecting their kids on purpose. I don't have any kids. The universe should be grateful for that, so I don't know what crazy shit parents do now. And she's a very, I don't know what she does for work, but she has the signature of a celebrity. Big giant Wendy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's a celebrity of some sort. Jessie Brunette in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada.
These women got to be sending some pictures at this point, man.
Let's see, 86. Let's get it. We can figure her age out. No, anyway. You and your pictures.
Yeah.
Let's go on the internet. There are pictures everywhere.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing. It's not.
Yeah, I agree. It's not personal. Jessie Brunette in Sudbury, Ontario, 70. Aaron Adams in Reigate, UK, 6969, and that's the only one.
Yep.
We do have a birthday call for somebody. And you're going to have to pronounce her name.
Let me see what we have here.
The real name. Calavrizu, I think.
Where? Cala...
It's Calavera.
But she's saying Maria Calavera. That's all. That's what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah, but her real last name.
But it says, feel free to get John to pronounce her real last name. So you do it.
I just did.
No, you didn't.
Morgan Blake, 6666 in Wirksworth, Derbyshire.
Yeah, hold on a second. We messed this one up last time. Something went wrong here. My spreadsheet is all hosed. This is 6666 donation. We please petition the Podfather for 2 podcast licenses for our fledgling Value for Value podcast, the Reflective Air podcast. The presenters, Morgan Bark and his anonymous co-host, are both NA producers, and their friendship and the podcast genuinely would not have existed without No Agenda. Our first few shows have been about free speech. We regularly mention No Agenda. Would be an honor to get a shout out from them, the best podcast in the universe. Much love, and thanks to you and John for your courage.
When I'm in Cleveland,
I listen to the Reflective Hair podcast.
Charles from Sweden in Quebec, $60. Job Karma coming. Michael Schlesinger in Macomb, Michigan, double nickels on the dime. Steve McConnell, double nickels on the dime in Cortland, Ohio. Bob Blair in Arley Beach, Queensland, $51.33. And these are all $50 donors. There's not that many of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 only. Wow. Michael Mataloni in Chicago. Peter Totes in Parts Unknown.
I haven't heard him in a while. Totes. It's been a while.
Hello, Peter.
Hello.
Chad Rich, Shack and Debenego in Seattle, Washington. And finally, Sean Clunk, if that is indeed his real name, in Shirleysburg, Pennsylvania. And that's the people that helped us here on show 612. And we want to remind people to go to Dvorak.org/NA, channeldvorak.com/NA, or No Agenda Show or NoAgendaNation.com, and they'll find a donate button there you can click on.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Dvorak.org/NA
Charlie says happy birthday to his wife Michelle Trixie Gearing, turning 42 today. Xavier Jean of The Hague says happy birthday to his smoking hot girlfriend Nancy. She's 33. Jennifer Loveberg, 50 today. Aaron Adams says happy birthday to Maria Calabezroy, Monday the 28th. And Benjamin Ritkers celebrating on April the 22nd. Happy birthday from your friends here at the vast staff and management of the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah.
And we congratulate Sir Robert Goshko. He becomes Viscount. And he'll be adding the Protectorate of Strathcona County, Scandinavia, to his portfolio.
That's the place to be.
It sure is. And we've got one knighting, so if you could grab your blade there, John, that would be...
Here it comes.
Perfect. Jim, step forward, because we've got the knighting for you, my friend. You want to be known as the Knight of Far Hill Steeplechase, or at least that's what your lovely wife has requested, so we hereby pronounce thee Sir Jim, Knight of Far Hill Steeplechase. Please come on down, and maybe your wife will enjoy this. We got some whiskey and wet wipes, Kundalini Yoga and Jambo, hookers and blow, Renboys and Chardonnay, Pappy Van Winkle bourbon served by Oktoberfest Fraulein's, 3 geishas and a bucket of fried chicken, vodka and vanilla, bong hits and bourbon, and sparkling cider and escorts, or maybe just your mutton and mead. And make sure you go to noagendanation.com/rings and fill out your information so Eric the Shill can hook you up. And thank you all for your support. It's appreciated. We do have this little podcast we're doing again on Thursday. And, oh yes, we have a meetup happening, or meetup. There's a party in... Tokyo. And it will be the 50th.
Hello, Tokyo.
The 50th. Sir Mark will be producing this, and I'm going to put in the show notes the flyer. There's like a code word and everything, so you can get in. Hot Pockets Wasabi Tour, and we're very excited about that.
When is this?
We leave on May 12th. And Miss Mickey, so that's coming up soon. Miss Mickey has an art show. That's the reason we're going there. And the only reason we can afford to go there is because Dame Astrid has been so kind as to offer us her apartment to stay in. And Sir Mark...
Where's she going to stay?
No, dude, that's like her pied-à-terre.
Oh.
She has an apartment for each foot, apparently. Which one should I wear today?
Yeah, they build giant buildings.
They build libraries and stores, and they're fantastic. Malls, yes. So
I'll be in Ann Arbor, Michigan, in the 19th to about the 22nd.
Do you have a speaking engagement?
Yes, I do.
Oh, do tell.
Yes.
Are you going to tell?
I'll have more details because I know a lot of people want to do a meetup or something.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Come on, boys, let's go to Detroit. No, I definitely want to go to take some photos of desolate buildings. I want to check out the old Union Station for sure. If anybody can get me inside, that would be great. And then I get the art museum, of course, before they sell it off to all the rich elites.
As one does.
I have a couple of interesting clips.
Well, I'm glad, because that makes the show that much better.
First of all, there was a lot, there's a big deal that happened on Monday, probably very important, where the government has been told that they have to release the memo rationalizing.
Yeah, the dronings.
And I have a few clips about this.
By the way, can I just say I'm so happy that you did this, and this is the
Why are you happy?
Because it's the beauty of our show. I was working on some other things. I was working on the Common Core. I got another thing I want to talk about. And
you didn't get to it. Okay.
No, there's only so much time in the day, and I'm like, and I literally thought, well, maybe John, and there you are.
I want to start this off with a clip. This is an old Gibbs clip when Gibbs was Carney.
Oh yes.
And there was this girl who they didn't identify her. This is her grilling Gibbs outside at a press conference, kind of a mini press conference. This woman, whoever she is, I don't think she's worked another day in her life. In the press corps, and she definitely doesn't get into the big meetings. But this is her grilling Gibbs about the droning of Al-Awlaki and his 16-year-old son 2 or 3 days later.
Do you think that the killing of Anwar al-Awlaki's 16-year-old son, who's an American citizen, is justifiable?
I'm not going to get into Anwar al-Awlaki's son. I know that Anwar al-Awlaki renounced his citizenship.
His son was still an American citizen.
Did great harm to people in this country. And was a regional al-Qaeda commander hoping to inflict harm and destruction on people that share his religion and others in this country. And
that's an American citizen that's being targeted without due process of law, without trial, and he's underage. He's a minor.
I would suggest that you should have a far more responsible father if they're truly concerned about the well-being of their children. I don't think becoming an al-Qaeda jihadist terrorist is the best way to go about doing your business.
Wow, I'd forgotten about this clip. This is, first of all, for him to say he caused great harm to America is a lie, and overlook the fact that he spoke at the Pentagon as a luncheon speaker, and then to say, if your dad is a douchebag, well, tough shit if you get killed.
Wow. And we have to remember that the kid, the 16-year-old minor, as she points out, underage, she says, was sipping coffee at a cafe.
Yes, a frappuccino.
So he's killed at a cafe, and so this brings into question all these commentaries. And let's start with we have, I think, 3 or 4 clips here. Mm-hmm. And this is on Democracy Now!, which they'll all in on Obama, but they do go after these. They don't get it that this is the same, that this is not a good person in that regard. So let's start with the background on what happened with the Drone Legality 1.
We turn now to new developments surrounding the secrecy of the Obama administration's drone wars. On Monday, a federal appeals court in Manhattan ordered the government to release a legal memo that provides the rationale for the targeted killing of U.S. citizens. The 3-judge panel unanimously ruled the government had waived its right to keep the memo secret following public statements in defense of the killings by top officials, as well as the release of a Justice Department white paper on the subject.
The Obama administration has admitted killing 4 U.S. citizens abroad, including Anwar al-Awlaki in Yemen in 2011. 2 weeks later, his 16-year-old Denver-born son, Abdul Rahman. Among the officials who've spoken at length about the government's purported right to kill its own citizens are Attorney General Eric Holder and President Obama.
But when a U.S. citizen goes abroad to wage war against America and is actively plotting to kill U.S. citizens, and when neither the United States nor our partners are in a position to capture him before he carries out a plot, his citizenship should no more serve as a shield than a sniper shooting down on an innocent crowd should be protected from a SWAT team.
Yeah, that was a great clip.
Yeah, and of course, sitting at a coffee shop drinking coffee is just the same as shooting down on a crowd as a sniper.
Well, honestly, frappuccinos are pretty gay, John. I mean,
well, I guess a reason enough to blow him to smithereens. So they bring on this woman from the ACLU as part of the suit that made this happen. And every once in a while, it's interesting to listen to the right-wing commentators go on and on about the ACLU being a bunch of douchebags. But in fact, the ACLU does serve a useful purpose in cases like this, because a lot of this stuff would never get accomplished because the same douchebags are, generally speaking, and I'm talking about the talk show guys on the radio, they're generally pro-drone, pro-government.
All in, yeah.
They're all in. They're horrible people. And yeah, they have a nice conservative pitch, and they're religious and all the rest of it. But these are not people that give you good information or good insight. So let's play. Now, this is a long clip, and this is the woman kind of explaining what they're going to have to go through and what this all means.
How significant is this federal court ruling, Hina?
Thank you, Amy. This is a very significant federal court ruling because it is the first time that a court has ordered the government to disclose a memo it has wanted to keep secret. The memo lays out the government's legal justification, constitutional analysis for killing a U.S. citizen, even when he is far from a traditional battlefield.
Hold on a second. She sounds like Jane Seymour. Is she like smoking hot, this girl, or what?
She's really attractive.
See, I knew. What's her name?
She's multi-culty. She's very. She looks like an actress of some sort.
She's in the ACLU.
Yeah, she's the ACLU. She's the head of this division that filed this case.
And what is that accent? Where's she from?
she looks like, she could be Asian. She could be. She's classic multiculti. You can't tell. She could be Italian. She could be Greek.
Multiculti lady of the future.
Yeah, totally.
We love these. Okay, great. Sorry to interrupt.
How do you know it exists?
We know it exists for a couple of different reasons. First of all, there were leaks about the existence of the memo. And, government officials launched what one court has called a public relations campaign, saying that they had done the legal analysis and concluded that the targeted killing program by the Obama administration and the killing of U.S. citizens would be lawful. And this is what is a big deal about the court's decision. So on the one hand, you have a PR campaign by some of the highest officials in our land saying targeted killing program, killing of U.S. citizens, lawful, effective, wise. On the other hand, in court, the government refuses to provide the basis for its conclusion so that the American public can judge for itself whether the government's arguments are legitimate or not. And now the court has said that with this campaign, and also with the government's disclosure of a Cliff Notes version of its legal memo, that means the government now has to provide its actual legal arguments. And it has to describe to us the other documents in its possessions, and we can seek to challenge their withholding.
This is really, and this is a great little package you put together here, John, because this is the crux of the issue. First of all, someone really messed up. Whoever made the decision to put out that kind of Cliff Notes version, which I know we talked about it on the show, they messed that up. But what's also interesting is that we're talking about the legality of killing American citizens. We just killed 50 Yemenis. We don't.
That's part of the. I don't have the clip for that, but that's part of this package that they put together.
I mean, it's out of control. Gut-wrenching to think that it's so easy, like, they're Americans, so, we can't, but we kill everybody. Just stop the killing.
The irony of this is the fact that the government's hubris and bragging revealed that the memo existed.
Yeah.
And also put them in jeopardy to show the memo because of the way they handled it in public, including what Holder said, and I have a clip of that coming up. Mm-hmm. And Holder was just as cold-blooded as you'd expect. Is that the end of that one clip?
Yes, and I'd like to remind people that Holder is the guy that pardoned Mark Rich for Clinton. Holder is a douche. He is a real card. This guy is no good.
Yeah, he's a tough cookie.
Uh-huh.
Now, here is the clip 3, which has Holder giving his rationale, which was used against him in the court.
Yeah, this is where this was at the university, I think, when he is that what this is from? Or
I think it might be. It's either that or I think they set it up. So it's at some place where he was chatting, and I think it's set up properly.
This is Attorney General Eric Holder in March of 2012 outlining the reasons why the U.S. would target a U.S. citizen.
So, although I cannot discuss or confirm any particular program or operation, I believe it is important to explain these legal principles publicly. Now, let me be clear. An operation using lethal force in a foreign country targeted against a U.S. citizen who is a senior operational leader of al-Qaeda or associated forces and who is actively engaged in planning to kill Americans would be lawful at least in the following circumstances. First, the U.S. government has determined after a thorough and careful review that the individual poses an imminent threat of violent attack against the United States. Second, capture is not feasible. And third, the operation would be conducted in a manner consistent with applicable law of war principles.
Right. Yeah, we discussed that in great detail at the time and laughed about it.
There was one little thing we didn't discuss, and it was brought out in the next clip.
This week, I authorized the declassification of this action and the deaths of 3 other Americans in drone strikes to facilitate transparency and debate on this issue and to dismiss some of the more outlandish claims that have been made.
That was President Obama about a year ago. Hina Shamsi.
So Some of the statements that were made by Attorney General Holder were statements that we cited in our briefs to the appeals court, saying that when the Attorney General can make statements about legal conclusions, then we ought to be able to know what forms the basis of those conclusions. And look at what the Attorney General was talking about. He said, one, that the killing might be authorized in response to an imminent threat. Well, you look at what the Cliff Notes white paper says about imminent threat, and it turns out that they define imminence as not requiring evidence of an actual plot that's about to happen. So the English language is not, we've gone beyond what the English language permits when you're talking about imminence. They do something very similar with feasible.
Panama is looking great to me right now.
So they've changed the definition so the kid in the cafe, the 16-year-old underage kid gets blown up in a cafe because they can't capture him because it's so hard to find this place.
He qualifies.
He's somehow an imminent threat. He is the sniper, even though he's sipping coffee, because they've changed the definitions.
How many times do I have to tell you frappuccinos are bad for your health? Well, this is very interesting now that this has to happen. And now... I'm sorry.
I'm going to tell you, I don't think this is going to happen. They're not going to bring this out. They're just going to stonewall it.
I'm not so sure, because I was very surprised to see Tony Blair show up with Brolf on CNN. And I pulled these clips. I'm like, I'm not sure why. They're not by themselves. I don't know if they're worth playing. And I'm glad I pulled them, because now I understand. Tony Blair has been brought in, and of course he's paid for this, because this is the richest consultant in the universe. And he's running interference to help convince the American people as to why, we need to have these types of programs, because, well, what is the biggest danger in the world, John? The biggest danger is clearly Islamists.
Yes, and I think you've got to see this as a whole. I mean, there's the situation in Yemen. You obviously have Syria. You've had Egypt going through a very, very difficult passage. You've got Iraq, still very difficult. Afghanistan. You look at Northern Africa, Libya, in a very, very difficult situation. That's spreading down into the northern part of sub-Saharan Africa. So, in my view, you need two things. You need, obviously, in respect of each country, to do what you can in respect of the security situation and fighting terrorism and getting the country on its feet and to develop. But then we've got to deal with this wider issue of this poisonous and corrosive Islamist ideology that is taught to children at a young age.
So are you fearful of another 9/11?
Don't you love Brolf?
Oh.
Don't you love Brolf?
I'm fearful of a growing Islamist threat. What form that takes is hard to know. But, for example, we in the UK now, our single biggest security worry are our own people, citizens who've been brought up in the UK, going and fighting so-called jihad in Syria, returning to the UK and becoming a major security threat because they're battle-hardened, they're radicalized, and they're angry.
So what was
pissed off
the point of the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan, all the trillions that were spent, the lives lost, if this threat is potentially, in your own analysis, even greater today?
I love this. That is a good question, actually, from Brolf, except he should have used blood and treasure.
Right.
Well, here's the problem.
And that's how you answer a question like that. You don't answer the question. You say, no, here's the problem.
This is even greater today.
Well, here's the problem, that all of this, in my view, has one central origin, and that is this toxic mix of religion and politics.
By the way, stop. That was a great circumvention. It was better than, you're asking the wrong question, which is one of my favorites.
Yeah, here's the problem. So it's the wrong problem. Here's the problem. So he's saying it's religion, this toxic mix of religion and politics. This guy is, he's a closer. He comes in and you're going to see a lot of him, I think. I think he's doing the tour now.
Well, this brings us to the 6-week cycle.
Yes.
Because we're seeing a lot of setups. Seeing him come out and bitch and moan about the Islamists is a good one, because I'm convinced that they're going to have to do something over the next week.
It's coming down to it. And the question is, Middle East or Middle Europe, Ukraine. I mean, there's too many fields.
It's got to be in this country, because the FBI's got to put it in their budget line items. And it's going to have to relate, perhaps.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it has to relate. Yeah.
So, in other words, we can have a Ukrainian separatist, or we can have some goofball from, some, I don't know who. It could be Russian related. I think that would be kind of interesting.
Be fun.
Trying to cause a ruckus over or being doing whatever. I don't know, a million possibilities. But I think it's going to be a little bigger than some bonehead, dialing a cell phone to blow up a bank with the FBI in the car kind of thing. I don't think it's going to be that lame. Because I don't think they do, if I'm not mistaken, they don't do lame. They do lame, kind of gets a little interest, or big, tries to get big interest, like Newtown. So it's got to be at that level. It's got to be
at Newtown level? Wow.
I think it's going to be at a Newtown level.
But it has to be Al-Qaeda or Ukrainian, Russian, Chechnyan. Now, you already had the Chechnyan.
The Russian thing, I think the Boston bombing had something to do with the little Russia action. Yeah. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting because, of course, we've never accurately, we've never predicted exactly, because it's impossible. These schemes are very elaborate. I know somebody sent me an email talking about their DHS is doing one of those testing, those
exercise.
They're doing an exercise in the tunnels around Michigan, Detroit, and he's kind of fearful. So there could be a lot of different things. There could be somebody could drop or prevent a bomb going off in the Lincoln Tunnel, let's say, in New York. That would be a good one. And, of course, the bomb would not go off, let's hope, unless it was by accident. But I think this would be a major event that is thwarted. Because here's the problem that they've been having. We've been deconstructing these forever, and a lot of them look like just botched jobs because it never gets them to. Let me play you this clip that's kind of interesting. This is, again, Brooks and Shields talking about gun control on the NewsHour, and there's a very interesting point here. It's called the irony of gun control.
Okay.
Guns. The governor of Georgia this week signed one of the most expansive gun rights laws in the country. There, among other places, you can now take a gun in Georgia into a bar, an airport, a church, a school under certain circumstances, David. And a church, we say, when the congregation allows it. At the same time, when the NRA is meeting, kind of celebrating how well it's done and getting a lot of gun rights laws loosened around the country. What does all this say about the success of the gun rights organizations and, frankly,
Koch brothers,
the inability of the gun control folks to work their will, even in the aftermath of Newtown?
First, one of the oddities of the NRA position is they want to have a more national system of concealed carry, which a total violation of any conservative principle of federalism. It's an amazing act that it's a reminder that whenever we talk about federalism in process, it's all opportunistic. Nobody actually has principled beliefs about these things. It is it's not only the NRA. They have a base. It's very useful to have a base of support that's spread everywhere and that's decentralized and passionate, because they come at politicians at every district. And my view is, if you look at the polling, a majority of Americans support tighter gun laws. But if you look at the passion, a majority of passionate people are on the NRA side, and then they're just dispersed. A lot of the people who are most passionate about controlling guns are in a few metro areas, and it's just a huge advantage to be dispersed around the country where you can hit pressure points at a lot of points. NRA takes full advantage of that.
CBS New York Times poll, Judy, do you favor a federal law requiring background checks on all gun owners? 85-12 in favor of it. Among gun owners, it's 84-14 in favor of it. Among Republicans, 84-13. So it comes down to intensity, and it comes down to political experience. I mean, Colorado passed, after two terrible tragedies at Aurora and Columbine, the theater and the high school, they passed a gun background check and a limit of 15 rounds to a magazine. 15 rounds to a magazine. That's what passed. And they had two Democratic senators, including the state Senate president, who was a former police chief, recalled. First time in the history of Colorado they've been recalled from office. Another state senator facing recall resigned.
Okay. Now, I want to point out a couple of things about this really bad analysis. First of all, Brooks is supposed to be the conservative Republican guy, and he's anti-guns, you can tell. Mm-hmm. And so then Brooks, so the host, the so-called conservative, Brooks, David Brooks, a columnist, and Shields, Mark Shields, they're all in on let's kill the gun thing, and none of them understand the mechanism that they're talking about. They're trying to come up with excuses. And here's what I think is happening. I think this is reflected in the 6-week cycle with both the Boston bombing and the more recent event, which is somebody finally realized this had nothing to do with the NRA, and these guys getting kicked out of the Colorado legislature had nothing to do with any of this. What happens when you have these events, at least this is the way I didn't analyze it, you have an event in Aurora, you have an event in Columbine, and you have the Newtown thing, which should have really triggered, they expected it to trigger a huge rollback of gun laws and the Second Amendment and the rest of it. But what really happens
the opposite.
The opposite happens because people say, geez, if I had a gun, or if they had a gun, I should go buy a gun, because these people are just dangerous out there. And the exact opposite starts to take place, and these idiots don't see that. They say, well, it's because the NRA's got a distributed system of people who are passionate. That's not it.
Koch brothers!
So that as the 6-week cycle comes around, we're going to see less of this. The gun thing is backfired.
Right.
Major backfired. And this Georgia law, these new Georgia laws, which have everybody baffled, is the best example of it. And the reason is because people are freaked out and they want to get guns. They want to protect themselves, which is one of the reasons to have a gun. So we're going to see the next couple of cycles is going to be about bombs. It's going to be about knives. It's going to be about anything. It's going to be something else. It's going to be more traditional terrorism as opposed to these schemes to get people all up in arms about gun laws.
Well, we could do an airline. I mean, that always works. That's always a good way to freak people out. Something with with flying.
The crotch bomber.
Well, you know what? It's not worth guessing. It doesn't matter. We'll see it. We'll recognize it around May 1st.
It's going to be creative. It's going to be probably poorly executed in terms of the analysis you're going to get from the internet. It goes all, they're all in on looking for these things being faked. And it'll be entertaining. It'll give us a couple of items to discuss on I don't know if it's going to be, the first is like, was a Wednesday? I'm not sure. The first is like is the due date, but it's going to be anywhere within the next week. Next Sunday, hopefully. Not hopefully, but
hopefully. Yeah, hopefully. Nice. You're doing a twit today, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, I have to rehearse you then. I got to get you ready for the show.
Okay.
Because
not going to talk about Coachella.
But if it comes up in conversation, just say, hey, what is that thing these kids are talking about? What is that Coachella stuff?
Going to?
No, I got to rehearse you because I'll give you a preview of what is going to happen on the show. Now, Twitter's been I think the show is no good without you. I think you save that show. You make that show. I'm a big fan of the show when you're on it. And you and Jolie Odell, I mean, I would pay extra money to watch that. But, okay, who am I?
It's going to be Natalie today.
Wow. I'm glad I'm rehearsing you because it's going to be very frustrating. Is she in studio or on Skype?
I don't think so. She's probably on Skype.
Okay.
So we can just step
It's going to be extra frustrating for you. I'm going to play for you a little clip, which is the general consensus in the tech community. And this is going to be a major conversation point, and we are going to talk about it to get you prepared because it's going to be very frustrating. This is Chunk from the Young Turds.
Disastrous news, in fact, today from the government. The FCC has decided that, not that interested in net neutrality. Now, that's interesting because they had made a lot of protestations in the Obama administration about how much they cared about net neutrality, and Chairman Tom Wheeler had promised left and right and all around that he would protect net neutrality at all costs. Apparently, he was lying. So let me tell you the latest. The FCC's plan would restructure the rules, that govern online traffic by granting internet service providers the ability to give some websites preferential treatment, i.e. faster traffic in exchange for money. Well, freedom on the internet, it was nice knowing you. Because that allows the internet providers, whoever they happen to be, Comcast, Verizon, whatever, there's internet providers all across the country, to say, I'm going to go ahead and pick winners and losers. Oh, did you say something against Comcast? Oh, funny how your website slowed down to a crawl. Good luck trying to get anybody to go on your website. We're screwed. Let me give you more details. If such rules were imposed, activists fear internet service providers would make bandwidth-exhaustive websites, think Netflix and Skype, pay more for smoother delivery, which would theoretically mean higher prices for customers in turn.
Okay. This is the big net neutrality debate. John and I see eye to eye on this, and it is exactly the opposite of what most people who even listen to this program think. And I believe we need to continue to explain, because we got a lot of email about this. And you're wrong, you're insane, you're crazy, but this has been long.
You actually had an interesting argument you might as well reiterate to the person about you getting let's stop the presses here right away, which I'll do on the show too. This is about Netflix.
Yes, it is.
And Netflix owns, they are hogging the internet.
And Netflix, two things about them. One, they're the small player in the game if you compare them to Comcast. They're a very, very small pass-through player who have one or two original series, which is great. But they're the small guys. And, by the way, Netflix is what everybody wants. This is what everyone has been. Netflix, I want Netflix. This Netflix is great. Now, if you follow through with the net neutrality idea, which has nothing to do with the public internet, it is purely your commercial bandwidth provider. I'm saying that specifically, not ISP, but your commercial bandwidth provider. They need to manage their network to make their customers happy. So if you truly had regulation that every packet is supposed to be equal, you could be sitting there with your waiting to rebuffering your Netflix stream to see a movie that you technically have paid for, because some other guy is running a torrent, downloading the same movie or uploading it illegally. And you could be rebuffering because of that, because of the net neutrality argument. That's insane. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to want to have that.
There's also Andrew Orlowski, who's always been against he thinks the net neutrality argument is bogus. Who writes for the Register, and I'd recommend people read him.
Well, it's worse. It's actually asking the government to regulate, which is the last thing you want. Now, do we have a problem, and do we need more competition with bandwidth consumer broadband providers? Yes. That, of course, is the ultimate problem. We don't have enough competition. That's the problem. But to have Netflix hogging the bandwidth, of course you want your Netflix. That's what you want. But
it'll come up. It's you normally I don't mean to be insulting, but your predictions about what we're going to talk about on the Twitch show are, I would say, never right. In this case, I think you may be right.
It's going to be the whole show is going to be about this.
It could be. I've got some other things, some sidetracks that are more interesting to talk about, which I'll say.
Here's the real problem that I have, is that the FCC has a draft of regulations that they have not published. This pisses me off. They've sent it to, apparently, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and people have seen it. We're not allowed to see it because they're going to do it at 3rd or 5th of May. So that's a setup. That's not okay to leak this to certain parties and let them start pontificating about it. What they have posted on their blog, finally, the 3 points that the notice will propose. And there is something very important here. 1. So this is what the rules will be. And this is just a summary. That all ISPs must transparently disclose to their subscribers and users all relevant information as to the policies that govern their network. And that's good. By the way, we earlier in the show, you were on Comcast. You had got a lot of jitter, and we had to stop the show. So how does that work? Is that Skype? Is that the network? Is that Netflix? What is going on? So maybe we'll find something out about that. I'm going to pass over number 2 and go to number 3, because number 2 is something that is being overlooked and not discussed. Number 3 is the ISPs may not act in a commercially unreasonable manner to harm the internet including favoring the traffic from an affiliated entity. That's actually an interesting one, which means if it's a Comcast property, they should not be able to favor that other than in a reasonable manner, i.e. that there's some kind of accounting equal to third parties. But here's the one that I'm worried about. Forget net neutrality. Number 2, that no legal content may be blocked. That's what everyone... This is SOPA, people. You're overlooking the real deal. Saying no legal content may be blocked is actually saying illegal content may be blocked.
Right.
But what is illegal content? That's the question.
I have a clip.
Whoa!
This is an illegal content activity going on in Europe. And just a premise is apparently telling jokes are harmful and it should be made illegal, at least the way the Europeans think. This is the @Human Negro controversy that's taking place in Spain.
The debate on Spain's social networks after the country's public prosecutor announced it had opened an investigation into the @Human Negro Twitter handle, which posts a stream of racist and sexist jokes. The person behind the account, which is to be shut down at the earliest opportunity, is also accused of inciting hatred. Many have taken to the web to challenge the move, saying the ruling is in some ways violating Spanish web users' freedom of expression.
Well, this is exactly what thank you, John. That's exactly it. Hate speech. Anything that is defined as hate speech will become illegal and may be blocked. And that is the danger of this. Everything else, you know what? We knew 15 years ago that video was going to screw up the internet. And here you go. You know, the public peering switches, everything, it's saturated with this stuff. So we need to move Netflix into the last bit there, your provider. That's necessary it'll actually free up things. It'll actually make the public internet better. And if you look at the groups that are talking this net neutrality bull crap, it's like, what George Soros funded, what is it, the Think Knowledge Network Now, what is it called?
I don't know. I didn't follow that one.
Oh, yeah. No, this is all Soros. Yeah, these are, yeah, so, if you are, net neutrality is just, it's a made-up thing. It's not what you want.
Well, I like the idea of slipping in this legal thing.
That's frightening.
Because that would be, because you can, with the hate speech stuff coming down from the UN and exemplified by this situation in Spain, where the guy essentially is a Twitter account telling dirty jokes and racist jokes.
Yeah.
That's what he does. Okay, that's what it's just a bunch of jokes.
Yeah.
But it's hate speech by the new definition. And hate speech can really be, you can use that as it's like child porn. You don't get to see it when it goes to court and the guy gets thrown in jail. You don't know what he was looking at. But somebody did. And you can do the same thing with hate speech. Hate speech is the new catch-all. It's better because you said something nasty about somebody. You hurt someone's feelings. That's illegal.
As we know, in the EU, there is legislation against hate speech. You cannot say something mean. You can't say something mean.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to. You can't say something mean.
You can't bully. You can't say something mean. That is what you have to be worried about, not about your packets arriving or not.
No, everything's about freedom of speech.
Yeah. And so
shut up, slave.
Yeah. There was something very cool that Anonymous, whoever calls themselves Anonymous, called AirChat. And this is really cool. What they've essentially done is they've taken the FL Digi program, that is an open source piece of software that is used on ham radio bands to communicate in digital PSK31 and 63, all these different digital modes. And they've put a front end on it that turns it into a chat. So you load it onto your computer. You load you install the FL Digi program that kind of runs in the background, and to a little web server, you bring up your browser, and you connect it to a walkie-talkie, essentially a handy talkie. You could even get the GMR. What is it? What's the the GRMV license, kind of like the walkie-talkie things you can buy.
Those low-end licenses.
Yeah, or go ahead and get a real license if you want.
It's not that hard.
It's the questions and answers are published, and it's essentially you can create a little Twitter network over radio frequency. I'm going to install it after the show. I can't wait to try it out. I just heard about it.
Cool. Well, I'll install it too.
All right. Hey, that does it. We promised ourselves that we would get out on time for this show. And since everything is... Wow. Wow, something doesn't sound right on the... I don't know what's going on here. Whoa, you hear how that sounds? It sounds like crap today. What's going on?
Does it?
I don't know.
My harmonica skills have diminished.
No, that's not that. No, the Marriott Jazz Quintet sounds like crap.
Oh, the Jazz Quintet.
Yeah, something's...
You said your Mac is dying.
It's on its last legs.
How can a computer be on its last quote-unquote legs?
Planned obsolescence, my friend. That's what it's always all about.
When a cap goes, then you'll know.
I blew a cap on my Mac.
Blew a cap.
I don't know why this is really bad. It's never been this bad. I'll bring it to the front. Maybe that'll help it. No. Listen to that. It's horrible. Anyway, thank you all very much for tuning in as usual. We'll be back on Thursday. I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about. We're getting close to that 6-week cycle. Coming to you from FEMA Region 6 here in the Travis Heights Hideout in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley, where I remain, I'm John C. Dvorak.
Well, this is where the C stands for Caps Lock. We'll be back on Thursday right here on No Agenda.
Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your courage.
Bhutan! Best podcast in the universe! Dvorak.org/NA